John, do you have the volume on? Is it unmuted? Do you have the stuff unmuted? We have assembly members saying they can't hear the Zoom. Okay, thank you.
We'll call the special. Thank you, Madam Chair. We would like to acknowledge that the city and borough of Juneau is on unceded Tlingit land and wish to honor the indigenous people of this land. For more than 10,000 years, Alaska Native people have been and continue to be integral to the well-being of our community. We are grateful to be in this place, a part of this community, and to honor the culture, traditions, and resilience of the Tlingit people. Gunashish.
Thank you, Ms. Hughes-Candies. Madam Clerk, will you please call our roll?
Thank you, Acting Mayor Treem. Ms. Treem.
Here.
Ms. Wall.
Present.
Mr. Smith.
Here.
Ms. Hughes-Candies.
Here.
Ms. Hale.
Here.
Mr. Bryson.
Present.
Mayor Weldon.
Here.
And Deputy Mayor Gladaszewski.
Here.
And absent is Wallaki Doc. I'm not seeing her online. We have a quorum present. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Approval of minutes. Ms. Hale, did you have a chance to read the minutes from the October 24th meeting?
Thank you, Madam Acting Mayor. I did, and I suggested one change, which Ms. Spiegel has made, and she sent out to us. And otherwise, I request approval of the minutes, and I ask for unanimous consent. My mind's not working.
Thank you, Ms. Hale. Any objections to that? Okay, seeing none, those minutes are approved.
Madam Chair, if I might, just to make sure, we're talking about the October 24th Assembly meeting minutes. Is that accurate, Ms. Hale?
I misspoke. I move the October 24th, 2022 meeting minutes with no changes, and I ask for unanimous consent.
Thank you,
Madam Clerk.
Okay, seeing no objection to that, those minutes are adopted. Thank you, Ms. Hale. Manager's request for agenda changes?
No agenda changes. Thank you.
Okay, public participation on non-agenda. Is that what this one is? Okay. Then I will wait for Madam Clerk to come back.
For the record, Madam Chair, no one has signed up for public testimony at this time.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. So we will move on to our agenda topics, starting with agenda topic 2. Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is ordinance 2023-14, an ordinance appropriating funds from the Treasury for fiscal year 24 city and borough operations.
Mr. Manager.
This ordinance appropriates $519,655,600 in expenditure authority for the city and borough of Juneau's FY24 operating budget, excluding the school district. This ordinance appropriates all transfers between funds that support operations, debt service, and capital projects, as well as the associated expenditures within the funds themselves. This ordinance also recognizes $492,395,600 of forecast revenue and transfers in and decreases fund balances across all funds by $27,260,000. Forecast revenue and draw from fund balance are sufficient to fund the budgeted expenditures. Budgeted expenditures and revenues will be reviewed in detail with the Finance Committee during the budget process in April and May. Charter requires that a public hearing be held on the FY24 operating budget by May 1st, 2023, and the ordinance be adopted by June 15, 2023. I recommend holding the charter required public hearing for this ordinance, followed by referral back to the Assembly Finance Committee for further review.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Is there anybody in the public who wishes to testify on this ordinance? Okay. I see none. We'll bring it back. Madam Clerk, do we need a motion? And what would the appropriate motion be if we do?
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is the
Oh.
public hearing portion, and because no one has signed up to testify and no one is doing any kind of testimony in the room, the appropriate motion would be to refer this ordinance back to the Assembly Finance Committee for further work.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Sorry, Mayor Weldon. I saw you. Okay, go ahead.
I move ordinance 2023-14 back to Assembly Finance Committee for further review and ask for unanimous.
Okay. Seeing no objection, that motion is passed. We'll move on to agenda topic 3, Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have ordinance 2023-15, an ordinance appropriating funds from the Treasury for fiscal year 24 school district operations.
Mr. Manager.
This ordinance will appropriate to the school district an FY24 operating budget of $96,317,000. This is an overall increase in the budget of $9,658,000 from the FY23 amended budget. FY24 school budget is supported with a combination of funding sources, including CBJ local funding of $33,050,800 and state and federal funding of $58,996,000. Local funding consists of $30,775,800 for general operations and $2,275,000 for programs and activities not subject to the state funding cap. State statute requires the Assembly to determine the total amount of local educational funding support to be provided and provide notification of the support to the school board within 30 days of the school district's budget submission. To meet this timing provision, it is necessary for the Assembly to determine the amount of funding and provide notice in the month of April. This amount cannot subsequently be reduced unless the amount exceeds the state funding cap, but it can be increased. If the Assembly does not set the amount and furnish the school board with notice within 30 days, the amount requested by the school district is automatically approved. By charter, the Assembly is required to appropriate the school district's budget no later than May 31, 2023. I recommend you hold the charter required public hearing for this ordinance, followed by a motion to set the amount of local funding to be provided to the school district, and then refer this ordinance back to the Assembly Finance Committee for additional review.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Is there any member of the public that wishes to testify on this ordinance? Okay, seeing none, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Acting Mayor. I move to set the amount of local funding to be $30,775,800, which funds the school district to the cap, and refer ordinance 2023-15 back to the Assembly Finance Committee for additional review.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Any discussion or objection to that motion? Okay. Seeing none, that motion has passed. And we will move to agenda topic 4. Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have ordinance 2023-16, an ordinance establishing the rate of levy for property taxes for calendar year 2023 based upon the proposed budget for fiscal year 2024.
Mr. Manager.
This ordinance establishes the mill rates for property taxes for 2023, which funds a significant portion of the City and Borough of Juneau's FY24 operating budget. Charter requires the Assembly to adopt by ordinance the tax levies necessary to fund the budget before June 15. Mill levies presented in this ordinance support the manager's FY24 revised budget that will be reviewed by the Assembly Finance Committee. As part of the budget review process, the AFC reviews, amends, and recommends to the Assembly the final mill levies. For FY24, the operating mill rate is proposed to decrease 0.28 mills for a total proposed mill levy of 10.28 mills, the components of which are area-wide 6.32, a decrease of 0.28, roaded service area 2.45, fire service area 0.34, debt service 1.20, total FY24 proposed mill rate 10.28, a decrease of 0.28 from FY23 adopted. I recommend you hold the charter required public hearing for this ordinance, followed by referral back to the Assembly Finance Committee for further review.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Any member of the public wish to testify in this ordinance? Okay, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move ordinance 2023-16 back to the Assembly Finance Committee for further review. And just a side note to let the public know that we will be discussing this again on May 17th. And ask for unanimous consent.
Ms. Hale.
Object for a statement. I don't think this is the time, because we will be taking this up again, as Madam Mayor says. I don't think this is the time that I propose to make any modifications or amendments. However, I have been running scenarios and I have looked at Doc 11 in our budget book, and that is the sensitivity calculation. And we can see the sensitivity of the budget to different mill rates. And currently at the proposed 10.28 mill rate, we'd be in a deficit of $9,400. So I am keen at a future meeting to reduce that mill rate possibly to the 10.2, where we'd have a deficit of 500,000. And the reason that I'm making that argument, and I might even want to go further, is that we have a substantial restricted budget reserve. We have a fund balance. And so we should not, I believe we shouldn't impose a fear of spending too much money upon our citizens when we have that fund balance to provide us with a buffer. So I just want to put that out there, that I want to be talking about that. And I hope that my fellow assembly members will take that conversation seriously. And I remove my objection.
Thank you, Ms. Hale. Seeing no further objection, that motion passes, which brings us to item 5, Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is Resolution 3016, a resolution adopting the City and Borough Capital Improvement Program for fiscal years 2024 through 2029 and establishing the capital improvement project priorities for fiscal year 2024.
Mr. Manager.
This resolution would adopt the capital improvement program for fiscal years 2024 through 2029 as required by Charter 9.4 and list the capital projects that will be initially appropriated by ordinance in FY24. Public Works and Facilities Committee reviewed the preliminary CIP at its March 6, 2023 meeting and forwarded the plan to the Assembly. I recommend you hold the charter required public hearing for this resolution, followed by referral back to the Assembly Finance Committee for further review.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Any member of the public wish to testify on the CIP ordinance? Seeing none, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move resolution 3016 back to the Assembly Finance Committee for further review. And ask for unanimous consent.
Okay, seeing no objection, that motion is adopted. Agenda topic 6, Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is Resolution 3026, a resolution providing for interest rates for the general obligation bonds being issued through negotiated sale by RBC Capital Markets LLC.
Mr. Manager.
On or about May 4, 2023, CBJ is scheduled to sell approximately 6.4 million in general obligation bonds approved by voters in the October 4, 2022 municipal election. The issuance of bonds was authorized by the Assembly in Ordinance 2023-13B adopted March 20, 2023. Final Assembly action per CBJ charter related to these bonds is to prescribe or set or accept by resolution the interest rates and annual principal maturity payment dollar amounts. CBJ Legal Counsel K&L Gates has prepared Resolution 3026 to adopt the interest rates by a delegation to the city manager and set other final bond sale terms. Schedule A of the resolution lists the years and amounts when the bonds will mature and sets the maximum interest rates authorized. The aggregate interest cost for all the bonds is estimated to be near 3.83%. I recommend you adopt this resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Any member of the public wish to testify on this resolution? Seeing none, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move we adopt Resolution 3026 and ask for unanimous.
Seeing no objection, that motion is adopted. Madam Clerk, is there anything else we need to do in this meeting?
I have nothing further unless the manager or anyone else has. I think we can adjourn at this time.
We'll adjourn the special assembly meeting.
I would ask for a brief, Eddie, so we can swap staff. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, I'll call the Assembly Finance Committee meeting of April 26th to order, one that is much more familiar to me. Ms. Spiegel, will you please note our roll?
Thank you, Chair Stream. We have all Assembly members present in chambers besides Mayor Weldon and Assembly Member Gladaszewski, who are present virtually, and Assembly Member Wachlaw Gadak is absent.
Thank you. Approval of minutes, Ms. Hale.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I requested one word change, which Ms. Spiegel has made to the April 19th minutes and sent that out to members of the Assembly. So I move the April 19th, 2023 minutes as amended, and I ask for unanimous consent.
Seeing no objection, those minutes are adopted. Thank you, Ms. Hale. We will dive right in to Docks and Harbors. Good. Okay. As soon as they're ready, Mr. Yucatel, it's all yours.
Thank you, Chair Treem. For the record, I'm Carl Yucatel. I'm the Port Director. I'm accompanied with the Docks and Harbors Board Chair, Don Etheridge, and Board Member Jim Becker. Next slide, please. So I'd like to start off, the board would like to start off by first thanking the Assembly for financial support during pandemic. And you provided ARPA funds for Docks and Harbors, primarily $2.5 million for this deck over project along the Seawalk that was completed a couple of weeks ago. We'll have a ribbon cutting ceremony on the 15th of May. You also provided money for the Statter Harbor Phase 3C project, was a new bathroom out at Statter Harbor. That is going up nicely. It should be completed in time for a ribbon cutting on the 19th of May. as well as funding for marine passenger fees in previous years. And obviously the 1% sales tax initiative of the Docks Harbors Board is very appreciative of those projects being approved by the Assembly and also voted positively by the voters. After the pandemic, we're actually in a pretty good spot financially. We will this year not have to draw into any of our cash reserves for the dock enterprise, which is very good. I do have a slide later on to talk about some of the challenges with cost escalation for construction projects. And you may have heard that the board, we elected to hire a outside consultant last year, HDR engineers, to do a rate study. And the long and the short of that rate study is a recommendation to raise all of our rates 9% across the board. We've initiated public outreach this month out at the Mendenhall Library, as well as the Yacht Club this month. But we'll work on that for over the summer and bring something back to the Assembly early fall. So this is our budget for the docks enterprise. The items I'd like to point out is our fund balance from FY22. You'll see that we had to draw upon our cash reserves of $169,000. And this year, at the end of June, we anticipate having a surplus of $144,000. Part of that positive cash flow, I'll call it, is due to $300,000 that is included in marine passenger fees, primarily because we've had to almost double up our security staff at our 2 cruise ship docks due to unfunded Coast Guard security mandates. So you'll notice that in the staffing in FY22, our staffing level was 13.74 FTE. And then this last year, we had to increase it by 5 FTE to meet these unfunded mandates. And there's also a half an FTE that is shared in the harbor fund balance, or half an FTE with the harbor's enterprise for a year-round security person that we hired on staff, but provide security from 4 p.m. to midnight for the harbors in the dock. So that's the 5.5 FTE that you note there. You also note that in FY24, there is a little bump up to 19.24, so 0.04 FTE increase, and that's going to allow us to have the port field office. That's the office behind the tram. Customs Water Protection is there, but so that we can have an admin staff there 7 days a week in the summer. Next slide, please. And some of the takeaways, I've already mentioned that we will be running the black for the docks enterprise this year. And largely our budget is fairly routine year to year. And we expect to have 1.8 million in our fund balance. We'd like to grow that. We have other plans that we need to grow that larger. And if you remember, in February of last year, February 2022, we brought to the Assembly, and the Assembly adopted a change to most of our rates, most of our fees that linked everything, all of our fees, the vast majority of our fees to CPI. So now most of the harbor fees and our dock fees are linked to CPI. So for this year, we'll see an 8.1% increase due to CPI, and that'll be the first change to the 2 fees that we charge the cruise ship docks since 2008. So our dockage fees are going up to 3.24 per linear foot, and an 8% increase to what's called the port maintenance fee, which is it's based on the tonnage, the weight of the vessel. So they're the first changes since 2008.
Mr. Smith.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Mr. Yucatel, for this. how do those new rates for cruise ships, how do those compare with the private docks or other docks in the region?
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Through Chair Treem, the revenues collected at the private docks is proprietary. I do not know what those numbers are. Our fees are not out of line of what Ketchikan provides that's in the public domain.
Oh, another question from Ms. Hughes-Gandy.
Just to follow up on that, since we're limited in what we can see from the private docks, and you referenced Ketchikan. When you say not out of line, are we more than Ketchikan, less than, same? I take that to mean we're in the same ballpark, but where do we stand to Ketchikan?
Thank you, Ms. Hughes-Gandy, through the chair. I don't want to speak erroneously. I mean, I can say things like, I know that for water, for example, we sell water to the cruise ships, and it's not a tariff, but what we charge for water is 150% of what we get charged by water utilities in Juneau. So down in Ketchikan, they charge $550 per hose to fill up, regardless of whether they take 10,000 gallons or 100,000 gallons. So there's just, when you talk about fees, they're hardly ever apples to apples comparison.
Ms. Hale.
Thank you. I have a question about that 8.1% CPI adjustment. Is that what time period does that 8.1% cover, if you could? Thank you.
Ms. Hale, through the chair, so that the way the language is written in the CPI adjustment is, it's always, you look hindcast or look back at the previous calendar year, and to try to give everybody enough heads up that it's coming. The fees that are assessed to the cruise ships begin from April. We actually have another fee for the harbor fees that don't go into effect until the fiscal year. So we have kind of a fee structure for those that are involved in the cruise industry that starts in April. And then for most of the harbor fees, those fees kick in with the fiscal year. It's just hard with it's difficult with the way the cruise season bisects our fiscal year. And the feedback we got from the industry is they don't want to have a different fee on June 30th and a different fee on 1 July.
Thank you. And I totally agree. And I think we see that reflected in Travel Juneau's information that they provide us as well. So thank you.
And Mr. Uchitel, we're a pretty casual bunch. So if you don't want to do through the chair, you don't have to.
Chair Treem.
Ms. Glashevsky.
Thank you so much. Ms. Uchitel, could you refresh my memory about the fees? It says effective April 1st. Did we do that? Did we pass that? And also, I'm just following up on Ms. Hughes-Gandy's question. If you could, at a later date, get us whatever you can about, I appreciate that it's not apples to apples, but as apple to apple as you can make it, or just say what's included. If you could get us some fees for the other ports in Southeast, I'd appreciate it too, just so I know.
I will do that, Ms. Glashevsky. So the question about the effective date of April 1st, that's every year it should change based on the previous calendar year's CPI. So that's effective. What the Assembly adopted in February of 2022 was every year, those fees that affect the tourism groups will change on 1 April.
Okay, so we passed that in last spring, 2022.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you for that clarification.
Mr. Manager.
Thank you. Just a little bit of commentary on fees. for cruise ships in Juneau and other ports. So we can try and compare, but just bear in mind the cost of services that we provide for the Quirks of Juneau are different than the cost of services in Ketchikan. Some things are easier for us, some things are easier for them. Sometimes the fees between the private docks that have dock space are more geared towards what the market will bear. So a private dock that's not fully subscribed is trying to figure out what will attract business. In our case, we're probably interested in fair market value of property, which is different than other ports. And then also at private docks, they typically have long-term contracts that they've negotiated. So there's a lot of factors that make cruise ship fees and services not line up exactly and make difficult to compare to each other.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Ms. Wall.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Another question on the fee adjustment. I know you all recently completed a rate study. Was that for both docks and harbors, and if it included docks, does the new CPI adjustment coming up this year reflect what you learned in the rate study, more or less?
Yeah, Ms. Wall. So yes, so the rate study that was conducted finished in September, basically said across the board for both the docks and harbors enterprise, raise your rates 9%. And they kind of lumped all of our facilities in under kind of one heading and said, hey, you should really be shooting for $1.9 million of excess fund balance savings on an annual basis. So that was the number that they picked. It seemed like they determined based on our plant replacement value and what they thought would be stomachable by the ratepayers and the harbor patrons. Next slide, please. So this just gives a pie graph of our expenditures. So basically our docks, it's 57% of all of our costs go to personnel and 43% goes to maintaining them and paying for water and electricity. And our revenues, the charges for services of those two fees I aforementioned for the cruise ship docks, marine passenger fees are making up nearly a third of our revenues. And from, as I mentioned, from one year to the next slide, basically FY24, same type of numbers, maybe adjusted 4% for inflation. So, and then just as far as what we're spending money on, 3/4 of our expenditures goes to 3 items, and the top 8 make up 86% of all of our costs. So a lot of these I would call kind of non-negotiable. These are just costs that we pay in the dock enterprise. Next slide, please. And then here, just the top yellow line, that's our fund balance. So that's, you pay attention to our fund balance. It's kind of, you see the mountains on the top there, and it goes, previously it just went down whenever we moved money from our fund balance into a project. And you'll see that starting in, and then the green is our revenues and the orange are our expenditures. So obviously as an enterprise, we're charged with keeping our revenues above our expenditures. You'll see during the pandemic, we dipped down, had to draw from our fund balance, and now we're on a trajectory in the right direction. So that's, overall, if you kind of took a straight line through from those 11 years that are there, it's probably pretty close to what CPI has been driving. Next slide. So now we're into the harbor enterprise. So if the docks enterprise is running about 2.5 million, we're running about 5 million here on the harbor enterprise. And this is, of course, our budget. And you'll see how, I guess I'll point out because what we track is fund balance. And so you'll see that we're projecting in this particular spreadsheet, and this is kind of baked this in back in January, and you'll see that we were projecting FY23 to have a $2 million fund balance in our harbors. And I can tell you that we've already pulled 500,000 from that fund balance into Aurora Phase 3 project. And then at the last assembly meeting, we introduced an additional $250,000 again for the north end of Aurora Phase 3. So at the end of our at June 30th, we anticipate to have 1.25 million in our fund balance for our harbors. And I can talk a little bit more about the bid bust and what we're going to get later on.
Ms. Hale.
Thank you. And I should know the answer to this question, but I haven't been paying close enough attention. So the money that is going out of that fund balance for the Aurora Phase 3, and thank you so much for moving that forward. That's been a big empty spot for a while. Is the state also contributing to that?
Yeah. So Ms. Hale, yeah. So what we do with all of what we are very strategic in what we do with our fund balance and leveraging 1% sales tax initiative. So basically we had, we finished Phase 2 in 2018, and then immediately we're applying for Department of Transportation Harbor Facility Grant. And it just took about 4 years to get the state to fund it. And so last July, the governor signed the appropriations that funded it. So we immediately went to design. And so we did in-house. We've got a very capable engineer on staff. We designed it in-house, had the bid opening on the 12th of September. The bids came in 33% of our estimate. And so we didn't have enough to even do the base bid. And that was the reason to transfer additional monies for that project. So anyway, yeah, everything is predicated on matching, being strategic with the paucity of money we have in our fund balance.
That's excellent. And thank you again for your perseverance.
And then the last thing I'll point out here in staffing, you can see that over the years, we've been very diligent about how many our FTEs. And you'll see that, as I mentioned with the dock enterprise, we had an increase from FY22 to FY23 of a half an FTE. And again, that's the security person that we've hired. And then you'll see that we also added the 0.64 FTE proposed for FY24, and that'll allow us to keep the we're gonna keep the Aurora Harbor office open on Saturday for sure, maybe Saturday and Sunday starting this year as well, to try and expand hours. So this is our budget, Madam Dream. Do you want any other questions on this slide before I move on?
Questions on docks and harbors budgets? Yeah, I guess one quick question. You mentioned the fund balance on the docks, harbors, 1.9. You're working up to 1.9, and that's based off of calculations. You're just trying to get to that number because based on the budget, that's the appropriate number. Do you have specific projects in mind? Was my question.
Yeah, Chair Treem, we have more projects than money. We have ideas for lots of things in the future. So that 1.9 million that HDR came up with is basically just a plant replacement value of over a 50-year period. This is what you should be striving for. I would call it more aspirational than operational, but it is something. It's not pulled out of thin air.
Yeah.
Next slide. And so the Harbor Enterprise, we expect to be pocketing $250,000 this year. Similar to our Docks Enterprise, our budget really changes that much year to year. I've already mentioned about the additional fund transfers that we needed for the Aurora Phase 3 project. We will talk about the UAS property here shortly, but the budget is baked in. We baked it in January with anticipating that we may have to have continued a fair market lease agreement with the university. That's changing. And then the CPI for the harbor fees starts with is consistent with our fiscal year. Next slide, please.
Oh, we've got a question from Mr. Smith.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Mr. Uchitel. For the 1% funded projects, which I think includes Aurora Phase 3, when do you expect those to be complete?
Yeah, so Mr. Smith, so with the 1% sales tax, we got the voters approved $5 million for Aurora Harbor. And back then, last summer, when we were talking about what projects to advance through the assembly, we were hoping that $5 million would be able to leverage with the Alaska Department of Transportation Harbor Grant. We thought there'd be enough money to really help develop put security lighting into Aurora Harbor. We were hoping that we could even, and we will continue to work a P3 partnership with the Marine Exchange of Alaska to replace the harbor office, make improvements to the boatyard. We were hoping that could all be done for $5 million, but based on the bid awards and what we're seeing regionally, that's going to be really hard. But to answer your question, when the Aurora Phase 4 will happen, it'll be contingent upon taking the monies we can and matching it with DOT monies. Next slide, please. So again, our budget about $5 million. It's not going to be a little bit more next year, but breakdown, we still have about a $700,000 debt service that we're paying off through about 2032 or thereabouts. Personnel services less than half, and then the rest are just maintenance and other costs that we have. The revenues, the charges for services would be mortgage, would be launch ramp fees, the rentals. Those are what we get for managing the Tideland leases, which would include our biggest Tideland lease is Gold Belt and the Mount Roberts Tram, which we receive about $206,000 a year for that. The state share revenue, that is the raw fish tax or the state fisheries business tax. And the permits would be the permits that we collect through passenger for hire permits, bus loading zone permits. So that makes up our revenues for the harbors.
Ms. Hale.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I should know this, but it's just not clicking right now. Debt service is showing in the harbor budget, but we don't see debt service in the dock budget. I know those are revenue bonds, but where is that reflected? And it might be a question for Mr. Rogers.
Mr. Rogers.
Thank you, Assemblymember Hale. So there was a decision made before my time, but it because the revenue that we've committed is passenger fees, you see that flow through the passenger fee funds. So in the Port Development Fee Fund, you see $2.1 million annually of debt service on the 16B dock improvements. So it just runs through the passenger fee funds instead of the dock fund.
Super, thank you.
If I may add to Mr. Rogers, also the bond debt for the 16B also included uplands as well as Seawalk expansion. So it wasn't all docks and harbors revenue bonds. Next slide, and again, not much difference from FY23 in that those pie charts. Next slide, and then again, 3/4 of our harbor budget is made up of, with the exception of the UAS property, that's going to be reduced, but everything else is kind of a baked in non-negotiable costs that we must pay. And then the next 6 produce 90% of all of our expenditures. Was there any questions on that last slide? I know yeah. Well, I will point out that one of the items there, we do pay a lot for $130,000 for service fees for our credit cards. So that's a big fee that we have to, as a convenience to our patrons. And refuse, trash is something that, it's a big expense for us. And it's probably going to just get, even though the rate that we pay to waste management didn't go up all that much, we're already seeing the public using our trash facilities more than they should. Next slide, please. And so I mentioned the UAS property. So on the left is the parcel between Harris and Aurora Harbor. We have had a lease with the university for parcel A, B, and C. So A and B are the ones, A and B have the water, and then B is uplands, and it is, that's where the boatyard, that's where the boats are stored. So we've had a favorable lease agreement with the university since 1988 because the city provided UAS with a $500,000 grant for the Egan Library. We've only paid $12,000 per year for that enjoyment of that lease. The lease expired actually 2 years ago. We've been working on 2 one-year extensions, but the way the lease was written was that we could exercise a one-time renewal of the lease, but at fair market value. The fair market value for that property that we had at $12,000 a year would go up to $230,400, which was it's a lot for docks and harbors. We've negotiated Mr. Watt and myself, Mr. Etheridge. We've met with university leadership and the University of Alaska lands management team on numerous occasions. They are willing to entertain a less than fair market value for a shorter period, for a 4-year period, if we can provide educational benefits. So I think that where the university is on this is they believe that this is a very valuable piece of property. They do not have concrete plans for their activity in the VOTEC building. So right now they have diesel classes, they have a nursing program, they have the mine simulator in the VOTEC building. You can see on the screen there, they also have a welding shop there. So they don't have concrete plans. I think they would like to move it, centralize it at their Rock Bay campus. They don't have the money to do that. They also, in deference to a new chancellor, want that person to make the decision of what happens there. So they weren't willing to negotiate. They weren't willing to sell us the property. And I guess I should also thank the assembly that this body a couple of years ago appropriated $2 million for the purpose of purchasing the 2.88 acres that we currently lease. And they're just not in a position where they can pull the trigger on that. So they will entertain a extension of the lease, less than fair market value if we can provide economic benefit. So the next slide. So city manager and I have met with some of the other directors from CBJ, and these are ideas that have been thrown out, and the university seems to like them. But basically, Docks and Harbors were willing to enter into an internship program for maritime jobs. So we would have paid internships for not fewer than 3. We have them working throughout either in harbors or my office or the downtown. We've offered to provide kayak storage for them. The Sea Spy program is a pre-commissioning program that the university has with the Coast Guard. So the idea is that they have the Coast Guard wants to have a path forward for mentoring and commissioning for certain demographics, and University of Alaska Southeast is one of them. My staff is very familiar with the Coast Guard, and we're willing to advance whatever the university has with the Coast Guard on that. We've also offered to remove snow at their facility downtown. We've offered, and they've liked the idea of free lift tickets for the Eagle Crest, as well as reduced rentals. Dave Scanlon's also offered non-paid but internships for outdoor recreation with Eagle Crest. They've also asked about bus passes. We think that the fare recovery is 12% or so, so that's not a big ask. And then they were interested in having access to Treadwell, the pools, in Diamond Park. So those are things that we've offered. Working with the manager to make sure my colleagues are still on board with that, but that would be the ask of CBJ to reduce that fair market value to $100,000 for a 4-year lease extension.
Mr. Manager.
I think we understand the university's position. They're directed to try and use their land assets to generate revenue to support the university, and they have limited ability to enter into agreements that aren't fair market value. Recognizing our situation, we worked together and we came up with these ideas. And I think on the city side, there are some general fund department ideas in there. I'm really supportive of those ideas because we get the additional benefit of enhancing the university as a place for students to go and enhancing the ability for those students to integrate into the community. With regard to things like buses, if university students get bus passes, it's not like we're going to add more buses and incur more costs. Same thing with rec passes. So I think it's symbolically important, and I hope we can bring this to conclusion. And I'm supportive of the general fund department support for this harbor activity, because I think it really brings a lot of community benefits to us. Making the university stronger, I think, adds a lot of value to the community.
Mr. Manager, I know this was originally intended to be on Monday's agenda. Is this the meeting at which you'd like us to discuss these things?
I think we wanted to bring it to your attention. So I'm not sure where we are with the university getting a concrete proposal back from them. But we want to let you know that we were coming up with these sorts of ideas and make sure that the assembly didn't look at us and say it's a no-go area. We don't expect that outcome, but we didn't want to get too far out in front of the assembly either.
Mr. Bryson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. Manager, I appreciate you recognizing those. The concern that I have is that we've raised in a couple of different topics the ability to offer discounted rates for our pool services and our ski lift. And we've always been, well, my understanding is always, no, we're not supposed to do that. I think it was mentioned for like police officers or firefighters. Why are we not allowing them to use Eagle Crest at as a recruiting tool or a discounted rate? And it's always been met with no. I don't mind doing this. I think this is actually a good idea. But if we can do this for UAS students, why can we not do it for firefighters? Why can we not do it for I mean, why couldn't a city staff, I think we've even suggested, let everybody have just like one pass. So all city staff members can go swimming one time. This is kind of, and I know it's a little bit off topic, but we've gone down this road before of how can we use our city services to entice people or make something a little bit better. Why is it okay now? And it's all am I remembering it wrong, or okay, I'm getting a nod. So why is it okay now? But every time we've asked before to benefit other Juneauites, the answer was no.
Mr. Manager.
I think a couple reasons. One, the university students are kind of on a 9-month schedule or so, not necessarily here year round. We think that their utilization of the services is going to be relatively low. When this has been raised in negotiations with employee groups, I think the general idea is that what matters most to employees is the wage line. And I think that with employees, with families, it brings in different complexities of whether those services apply to their families or not. I think a lot of things come into play. And I think the university is different. We have students who come here for 4 years or so, or maybe less. And I think we're motivated to find a way to have young people integrate and stay in the community. And I think it's just a different situation.
Thank you for that answer, Mr. Watt.
Ms. Hale.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And that was like the perfect segue to what I was going to say. Thank you, Mr. Manager. And perhaps relative to what Mr. Bryson has said, this perhaps if this is successful, it could kind of be a little pilot for us as well. But what I was going to say is similar to, I'll do a slight digression. I attended the Coast Guard band performance out at Thunder Mountain High School, and they were playing a lot of armed services music, and they asked each branch of the service to stand when they played that part of the medley. And there was just a few for each branch until they said Coast Guard, and a whole bunch of people stood up, because there's a lot of people that come to Juneau when they're very young in the Coast Guard, and then they stay and they raise their families here. So I think I really like this idea for UAS students as well, because getting them further into the community, the university is a far away from downtown, and making it easier for them to integrate in the community might make them want to stay here. And we want young people here.
Thank you, Ms. Hale. I had the same question that Mr. Bryson did, and I recall that these ideas have been brought to us by employees, but we can talk about that 2 years from now when we do negotiations again. I do have a question. Have you done kind of the budget analysis of this? And not necessarily because I want to make sure we're like tit for tat with the university, but so that we would know in the future when the next group comes and asks for the same things, how much money we're talking about.
We haven't done that, and we don't have. We have a conceptual idea with the university, and I think there's some question about what level of education enrollment would be necessary before you get these benefits. But from a budget standpoint, I think I touched on this just a tad earlier. If university students are using Capital Transit, they're going to be riding the bus, and there's either going to be space on the bus or not. We're not going to put more buses on the road, so there's not going to be an impact to transit. I think the same situation applies for the recreational facilities. Eagle Crest already offers an incentive. I'm blanking a little bit on what they do, but they already do have a special rate for students. So with regard to general fund, I don't really think there's much impact, because number one, we're not going to provide additional services, and number two, we also don't expect a high uptake of use. We expect that the university can use these things as it markets to students And the university could say, when you come to UAS, you can ride the municipal bus system and you can go to the pool. And we've got a special deal at Eagle Crest. And I think that might be helpful in marketing the university. But the students, the full-time students are full-time students. So we don't expect them to be up at Eagle Crest 5 days a week and, you know, at the swimming pool 7 days a week. We don't really expect that.
If I recall, the university price lift tickets were actually the one where Eagle Crest was above the market rate. So this is a good idea. Ms. Gladaszewski and Mayor Weldon, I'm sorry I missed you. Your hands are so tiny on the screen. I didn't see them. We'll go with Ms. Gladaszewski and then Mayor Weldon.
Sure, thank you, Madam Chair. I know it's hard to see those little things. Mr. Uchitel, could you talk about what the state of buying the property is? We did appropriate money to buy it. They said no. Are they still thinking about it? Are they? What is the status of that? And do you have other plans, or what are the state of the plans if that completely falls through? I guess your state of the plans is to do this for 4 years, but places to move the cranes, et cetera. Thanks.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Gladaszewski. So Adrian, can you go back to the previous slide? So the university's position is they're not ready to sell. They believe that holding out until they have a full plan for the entire 5.4 acres, that they're better off not selling portions of it. They think that diminishes their ability to get top dollar when they get ready to sell. So again, they need to figure out what they're going to do, what the future plans of the VOTAC building is, what the future plan of the welding lab. So we are continuing to maintain if people are familiar with the crane dock, we manage the cranes are owned by the university. We manage it. We fix them. We're probably going to spend $80,000 in just repairs of those two cranes in the last 12 months, upwards of $80,000 for that. We have in previous years applied for MARAD's Port Infrastructure Development Grant and RAISE grants to really develop the UAS property. So the idea was that we'd have lease opportunities for this property to pursue grants. So this year only, we've decided to pivot from a $25 million grant opportunity to say, well, if you pretend like you're a DC bureaucrat that's reviewing grants, you're not going to be swayed by an applicant that has a 4-year lease. So what we've done is we've come up with a plan to build a drive down float using only Docks and Harbors or CBJ owned property. So not to conflate the grant with UAS property. So to answer your question directly, Ms. Gladaszewski, we are working around the lease property. We intend to maintain the lease property as long as the university allows us to. I think the future of this whole 5.4 acres should be in CBJ hands. This is this area, adjoins the 2 city-owned docks or 2 city-owned harbors. It's a connection to the university, the JD High School. I believe that the university thinks that they have a kind of a mental health trust property here that somebody will come in and pay 6 times the appraised value. I don't see it that way. I don't see it that way. I also don't think that Docks and Harbors is going to go to the mat in trying to retain this property.
Thank you, Mr. Uchitel. I didn't realize the lease that says we maintain we're fixing their cranes, but that's a editorial comment. That's maybe you can tell me about that some other time. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gladszewski. Mayor Weldon.
Thank you, Madam Chair. While partnering with the university, that sounds great, and we're doing good things for them, so I'm really happy to hear that. However, the 100K is still way too high for me. If this would be going to a vote tonight, I wouldn't vote for it. I believe the commercial vendor only pays us 30 to 40,000. That will be one of my questions here in a second. So I have a problem with that, and I don't know who else would rent it. So I think they're trying to play hardball with us. I don't think that we should. But anyway, so my question goes to how much is the commercial vendor paying us, and could we separate lease parcel A and lease parcel B away from lease parcel C, and they can go for the lease with a commercial vendor then, and we could still keep the haul outs for less price than the 100 gram.
Thank you, Mayor Weldon.
So Mayor Weldon, so yes, you are correct that the amount of revenue that is generated at this location through the sublessees is $30,000 for the boatyard, and about $3,000 for maritime hydraulics. They have a little building there as well. And so I have confirmed with law that going forward with the extension of the lease, we can renegotiate with the boatyard operator at something more than 30,000. That 30,000 is derived from the assessed value of the property. And so I think going forward, my plan is to meet with the boatyard operator and talk about lease payments with the new lease. The boatyard operator does have preferred renewal rights that as we go forward, he would have a right of first refusal to have the lease extension in his name. And so just the kind of Ms. Gladszewski's question about maintaining the property. Yes, so we have the lease from the university. The university does not participate in any of the maintenance of the facility, so we maintain the cranes. We also have a travel lift that is subleased to the boatyard operator, as well as the pier that is used to haul out boats. They are owned by the university, but delegated to us to maintain. Chair Tremor, ready to move on? So this is again where we're at with the docks. This is the harbors enterprise. You'll see the yellow is the fund balance, and you see that it dipped down into FY20 at the low point. But the reduction there were, projects completed at Douglas Harbor, Aurora Phase 1, Aurora Phase 2, Statter Harbor. So, and now we're in rebuilding the fund balance. And you can see over the years how we've managed to keep the revenues above our expenditures on a pretty consistent basis. Next slide, please. And I just wanted to point out, this is the going back from FY13, Docks and Harbors, we were paying 4 times what we once paid for other services, including insurance, which Adrian, can you move the picture there? So you can see that the insurance is really, I would say, eating our lunch. That where we were paying $400,000 in 2013, we're paying 3 times that in the FY24 budget cycle. Go to the next slide, please. And so this is just summarizes where we're at. 16% of all of our revenues goes back to CBJ. Our insurance, you see the large increases since FY22 for insurance. We did have a claim out at Statter Harbor last year for $300,000, but for the most part, and we don't use the property claims very often. One thing that note when I speak to the risk manager is, docks and harbors, we have a lot of infrastructure to insure. Only the school district and water and wastewater have more infrastructure. So we pay accordingly. Next slide. And I mentioned the Aurora Phase 3 project, the bid bust that we had, that will still salvage a project. But this just shows, you can see Angoon and Aurora Phase 3. So that's where we opened bids 2 weeks ago. Angoon opened about 3 weeks ago. So that's the square foot cost of a float post-pandemic. In 2020, for essentially the same floats at Statter, it's doubled since 2020. And you can even go down to just 2017, 2018, Aurora Phase 3, that's almost 3 times what we were paying. And those are real numbers. Although we just had 2 local contractors bid, the Angoon bid opening, we tracked that, and I think there was 4 contractors. It just goes to show the cost that, and this does not bode well in the future for projects. There's 5 float manufacturers in the Pacific Northwest, and so they're all fully booked. And so you'll see at your May 8th assembly meeting, when you're asked to approve the bid award, we've even had to delay the performance period into May of 2024, just based on supply chain issues. So in addition to floats, next slide, Adrian, here's looking at electrical. So the electrical system, just reviewing those costs, you'll see that we have Aurora Phase 3 as obviously an outlier. Angoon had no electricals, they just had floats. But when you look at what we paid at Statter Harbor for the electrical, we're talking about 7 times that just 3 years ago. We were told that copper since the pandemic has increased 4-fold. So those are, again, real numbers, competitive numbers, but that's just where we're at in the construction. And next slide, I think I'm done.
Any final questions? Ms. Gladaszewski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Ms. Yucatel. Just given, you talked about your, here, I'll turn my thing back on, rate study, and just hearing all the costs and escalation of insurance and new floats and everything. Are you satisfied that the rate study is correct and that is the amount you should increase your rates? It seems like maybe, well, I don't know. It just seems like you have a lot of additional costs that you used to not have.
Thank you, Ms. Gladaszewski. So, yeah, 9% it could be higher, but I think the board is smart enough to know the political lay of the land. And, we are increasing rates 8% just based on CPI this year. So many people are going to say you're raising rates 17% on us. And so that all plays in. If you look at the graphs I've shown, we're doing more than just treading water, but we do have a large portfolio of infrastructure. Some of the challenges we have. So I mentioned the PIDP grant that we want to apply for a drive down float. Well, we chase grants where there isn't a requirement for a match. But when I talk to my colleagues in MARAD, they're saying, you need to put a grant, you need to put match forward for that project. And I'm saying, well, the most we can come up with would be maybe $500,000 for that grant. No grant match is required, but the most we can come up with is $500,000. Similarly, we could spend hours on just the projects we want to do, but the Statter Harbor breakwater replacement, that's an Army Corps project. They own the recapitalization of breakwaters, groins, and jetties throughout the navigable waters of the U.S. But to get to a replacement, we have to have 50% local sponsor match for a study that's $3 million. So we have to come up with 1.5 million just to get into the batter's box, really. And that's going to, I think that is probably going to come to fruition. Senator Murkowski has made an earmark to get the federal match for that. So we're going to have to come up with our local match, but that's, that'll be 1.5 million that we have to do just to advance the planning stage for that. So yes, we're always looking for new revenue to increase our fund balance so that we can advance community needs in the waterfront.
Thank you.
Mr. Smith.
Are we ready for a motion?
Yeah.
Very good. Thank you. I move the Docks and Harbors FY24 budget as presented and ask for unanimous consent.
Any objection to that motion? Okay, I see none. That motion has passed. Mayor Walden, did you have another motion you wanted to make, or are you good?
No, I think that's good. I was just going to split it between the docks and the harbors, but that's fine.
Okay, perfect. Okay, we will take a 5-minute break. Okay, I will call the finance meeting back to order. We are going to take a brief detour back to public testimony because we do have a member of the public who is trying to get here. And there was an accident and she didn't make it before we closed our special assembly meeting. So we'll go back and take that public testimony now. So Ms. Gerke, you can come up, make sure the microphone is green and you'll have 3 minutes. Tap that button. There we go.
Great. Thank you so much for making this exception. I just felt it important to come and just, I guess, share from a perspective of one household on the on property taxes right now in the CBJ proposed budget. And I have a much better appreciation, even after hearing the Docks and Harbors presentation about the situation I think we're all faced with right now, right? Costs are way up for everyone, and figuring out how to get revenue is a situation we're all facing. And that holds true for my household, and I believe for my neighbors in Juneau as well. So as we know, supply of homes on the market was way down, and therefore property values went way up. And maybe people could afford to purchase their home at what the property values are assessed at now. Maybe they couldn't. And that was a lot of conversation, right? Would I even be able to afford my home now with what its current property value is? So anyhow, and I'm just thinking about price of bread up 40%, price of my garbage service. It's thankfully not as high as what Docks and Harbors has to pay, but ours went up 21%. Our household income is flat. So I imagine that I speak for many people in our community that we're making choices about things we used to be able to purchase that we don't anymore because inflation is way up, household income is flat. Municipal taxes are decoupled from income. There's property taxes and sales taxes. So I appreciate that the proposed budget includes a much reduced mill rate. However, our net property taxes will still go up. So as you're considering the property taxes in the budget, I would just hope that the Assembly is considering that expenses have increased for your constituents in the borough across the board. many households are already going out without items that they were able to afford previously. And many constituents don't have a lever to pull to increase income commensurate with costs. So actually one idea that I had, I was like, what is some way to make this work since property taxes are decoupled from income? And so anyway, just food for thought, and pie in the sky. What if there could be an index for trends in wages for our community that went into the equation for coming up with property taxes? And just, another piece of information when you're looking at budgets and where to set mill rates and things, I just wondered if, since sales tax and property tax are decoupled, that might be a possibility. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gerke. Any questions for Ms. Gerke? Ms. Hale.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair, and thank you so much for testifying, Ms. Gerke. We've been obviously getting a lot of questions similar to what you raise. And one thing that I have been struggling with is that just as your costs have gone up, our costs have gone up, CBJ's costs have gone up. So do you see the sort of the connection between costs of citizens and costs to government as well?
Ms. Hill, I do. Anyway, and I had another, just like one thing in the budget, but I appreciate that my time is up. But yeah, so anyway, for example, the one thing like the city hall, the money set aside for the city hall after the voters had not, been in favor of moving forward with a $45 million city hall. The $10 million there to me was something that I thought, is that possibly room to bring these things together?
Oh, and I'm sorry, the city clerk will get mad at me if I don't ask you to say your name and area of town for the record.
Thank you. My name is Brandy Gerke, and I live off of Back Loop Road.
Thank you very much for coming to testify, and thank you for sitting through our finance meeting as well. And actually, could you turn the microphone off? Thank you. Okay. Thank you. So now we will get back to our agenda, and the next item is the FY24 passenger fee plan for review. And who's taking this one? Okay. Ms. Pierce. Oh. You have 3 minutes.
Great.
Yeah. I will be out of this chair at 2 minutes, 59 seconds. Motion to approve. Thank you, Madam Chair. So the marine passenger fee budget went to the Public Works and Facilities Committee. I should have pulled the date, but it was a couple months ago. And we discussed some preliminary, our preliminary recommendations. Since then, we've added a couple of items, which are on page 34 of your packet. I do not have a presentation prepared, but I thought we could walk through the table on page 34, and I will just present some highlights and allow the body to ask questions. So starting with municipal services, we use the standard formula for that we've been using since the settlement of the lawsuit for enhanced municipal services, and those are all carried through here. To call the attention to a couple of items under my budget, under the tourism department budget. The resident tourism survey is funded at the same level as last year. The cruise ship passenger survey, we just put a line item in that was the same amount. And then later we learned that it's actually quite a lot more expensive to survey people on the docks than it is to call people. So that's that's half the reason for that increased number. The other reason is that when looking back at our last time we surveyed passengers, we did an economic impact analysis as part of that project, and it seemed prudent to do that again. If we're already collecting spending data, we might as well also be hiring somebody to analyze that data and give us some economic impact figures. So that's the reason for the increase in that budget. We've been discussing at the last couple committee of the wholes where I've presented the need for more data. So this is another opportunity to gather more tourism data. General economic analysis, that's still a placeholder. There are a number of data collection projects that the city manager and I have discussed. We may hire an intern, we may hire a consultant. There's a number of different things that we can pursue, but we wanted some money to collect data on other items that the assembly wishes to see more information on. And so we don't have a specific project associated with that. Seasonal workforce housing planning, this was moved from the third-party services. Yeah, it was originally proposed by JEDC. It still very likely could be performed by JEDC. JEDC came forward with a proposal for seasonal workforce housing. When we discussed that with the cruise industry, as we were required to do under our settlement agreement, they liked the idea of the planning portion and the data collection on the impact of the visitor industry on our local housing situation portion. And they wanted to see that information before we fully funded the project or before considering fully funding the project. So we have the line item in for that. And then the commercial recreational use strategy was something that I brought to the committee of the whole at the beginning of April. We have talked a lot about whether to concentrate or disperse visitor traffic, where on the landscape we should consider adding visitor operations, and giving our local businesses and shore excursion markets the surety that that there is somewhere for them to develop and go. And we think that needs to be a comprehensive public process. And so we put in $120,000 for that public process and the subsequent analysis.
Before you go further, a question from Ms. Gladaszewski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm trying to understand why there's amended numbers. Why did the overhead cost go down? I don't see it in the memo, or why did you amend the numbers down? From what, if it was following the formula, it should follow the formula. How come they're all lowered?
Mr. Rogers.
Assemblymember Gladaszewski. So the overhead amount is if you look at the sum at the bottom, that 132.7, that is the sum of the costs from the finance department, the manager's office, law, et cetera, that we expense to.
Sorry, I don't see 132.7. Total cities. Oh, the overhead. Yes. Okay, got it.
Okay, that's the total of the overhead. That number, the total of the overhead, is the total of law, finance, HR, and the manager's office. And the clerk that comes out of the cost allocation. We just take that number and assign it pro rata to all the other municipal services. It's just a calculation. So when the other underlying numbers changed and when the totals changed, then the overhead calculation just changed. It's an artifact of it just assigning that cost pro rata to every individual project area.
But you didn't. But the overhead total is the same. So I don't. I don't understand.
Correct, but the total of the direct costs and the proportion of the total that each one was changes the pro rata calculation.
Because you added things to direct costs, you mean?
Correct.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Yep.
And Candace.
Thanks, Madam Chair. I was just trying to jot down furiously as you went, so I'll try to keep these discreet. So I got a little bit, I lost you a little bit. So the cruise ship passenger survey, it costs more to get people on the dock and deal with that than it does on phone. That makes sense. And then the other piece for that you were saying is to then analyze what we get from them. So the general economic analysis is its own line item, and that's the piece you mentioned an intern, but I'm not really sure what that line item is for, or if you could speak a little bit more about that.
Thank you. Through the chair. It's for extra data collection, and we don't know on what yet. So we've identified the need to collect data on the visitor industry in order to inform policy decisions. We have a bunch of good projects in here to help us collect that data. There are probably other data needs that we haven't identified yet. So this is a placeholder. And so we would be back with an appropriation should we decide to move forward with spending that money on a project, or should we have a project to assign to that. But the city manager and I felt that given that these things come up from time to time, it was helpful to have some extra money in the budget in order to collect that information. And we haven't quite decided how we'll spend it, whether we've discussed having an intern, we've discussed hiring an external person. We've discussed a number of different options. So I don't have a specific project to attach that to yet.
Okay, thank you. That's helpful. So that is not the analysis of the on the dock stuff that's included in the other line item. This is just when we want more data regarding making good decisions about cruise ship tourism.
That's correct. We would put out an RFP for the cruise ship passenger survey that would also include economic analysis with a budget of $100,000. That's a complete project. The other one is kind of to be determined, recognizing that we have additional data collection needs.
Okay, thank you. That's very helpful. And then just really quickly, I'm aware of I'm not aware as I should be with good recollection of what exactly it says in the settlement, but I'm aware that we consult with the industry and get their opinion on some stuff. And then some of what we're in this section, just the municipal services section, I would think we're not consulting on. And so I really like JEDC's idea. And I'm excited that we'll move forward with the planning and design portion, or first steps, if not actually building. But when you talked about which pieces they like and they didn't like, I'm not clear. Do you take this entire table on pages 34 and 35? They're looking at all of this as part of that consultation, or just those pieces that are maybe you're viewing as extras?
Thank you. And through the chair, both. So we sit down with the proposed passenger fee budget and we show it to them in whole. We have the formula with which Mr. Rogers just explained that's applied to city services. And then we have the mapped area where we're able to have a little bit more say self-determination over how we spend our money. For things like workforce housing planning, considering building a workforce housing facility that is not on the dock, it's not part of the mapped service area, it's a little outside the scope of how we would typically spend marine passenger fees. And it's also likely to be replicated elsewhere in Southeast Alaska, where communities also collect marine passenger fees or receive state commercial passenger CPV funds. That's one where we do have a duty to consult, and they're kind of cautiously interested in it and willing to explore the concept.
Thank you. And Mr. Watt, I'm going to ask you not right now because I'll stop asking questions, but hypothetically, if it was in that mapped area, we could do it. I said I wasn't going to ask you right now, and then I asked. I'm sorry, Madam Chair. I couldn't help it. I was so curious. And maybe that wouldn't be a good collaborative process, but if it was in our little zone, could we do it?
I'm familiar with the Assembly's ways. Yeah, so if you remember back to when we did the settlement, we said in the mapped area, these list of things we're going to do, and we're not going to consult.
Okay.
So if it's in the mapped area and on the list,
Okay.
right, then we don't.
Oh, so we have a list that goes with that.
We do
okay.
have a list.
Thank you.
Long.
Nothing
detailed
crazy on
paragraphs.
in the mapped area. Okay. Yeah, I was just curious.
Thank you, Mrs. Guinness. I have a question. Ms. Glaszewski has a question.
I just wanted to get the manager to say something like he just said. There was some suggestion that we needed to consult with the cruise industry and they needed to somehow approve it. We get to say how this goes, particularly the municipal services section, anything in the map with the big long list, like the manager said. If the manager wanted to expand on that, just to make it clear who decides.
So to expand on that, in the settlement, we had, I think we called them maritime zones of activity. We had a zone A and a zone B. In zone A, close to the waterfront, and list of activities that we weren't even going to talk about or argue about. Things like bathrooms and crossing guards and visitor information and trash cans and landscaping and all the normal things that we do, and providing ambulance services and extra foot patrol and whatnot. So they're what I would call the traditional services that we've always provided in that zone. We don't have a duty to consult with or get approval unless we are proposing expenditures not contemplated during the settlement period. All that said, we also agreed to an annual meeting to better share information and communicate. And so in the course of the annual meeting, as our players change and their players change, we go through everything and remind everybody of that agreement. So I hope that information is helpful.
Thank you, Mr. Watt. Mayor Weldon.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm just seeing if Mrs. Pierce is going to talk about the rest of this list. Is that the time to ask a question about it, or if she's not? That was my question.
I think we are going to get there. I have one quick question. I hope it's quick. The formula you've mentioned, is that just for the overhead part? Okay. And I don't know who this question, which one of you this question would be for, but as our passenger volume is increasing, do you think the formula is adequate to account for whatever our costs are? Are they shifting as we have more passengers, or is it not making much of a difference on the overhead?
Yeah, thank you, Chair Tree. There's some nuances here that are important. So when we work through the passenger fee cost allocation, which we do tandem with the full cost allocation, and we use a third-party consultant for both of those things, that consultant is looking back 2 years at the impact of visitors on CBJ expenditure, and it's using measures of impact from 2 years ago and applying that to a future year's budget. I don't need to get super into the math of that, but one of the challenges with how to complete the marine passenger fee plan with regard to how passenger fees pay for city services that we provide to passengers this year is that 2 years ago we had 0 passengers. Okay, so we have chosen to use the same exact allocation of city services costs that we used last year. Once we get back fully post-pandemic, so that we're looking 2 years in arrears at the usage of city services by cruise passengers, we will then be back in the normal swing of things with how we assign city costs to passenger fees, but it does self-correct over time. As the number of passengers goes up, presumably the use of city services will go up relative to non-tourists, and we will spend whatever the calculation tells us is a proportionate amount of passenger fees for those services. So there's a nuance there because of how we collect the cost allocation data and where we are post-pandemic. But overall, going forward long-term, the cost allocation cares for the fact that that passenger use of services goes up over time.
I think I want to do a thesis on cost allocation. Ms. Pierce, you can keep going.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And Mayor Weldon, I was planning to discuss the rest of the budget. The third-party services section is generally funded as requested, with the exception of the private docks. We funded restrooms and maintenance restrooms and security in accordance with past practices and what we've done before. I do want to mention, based on Mr. Yucatel's comments earlier about dockage fees, I know that I've been in front of you talking about dockage fees and rates as well. We've been working in parallel with Mr. Yucatel and with the cruise industry to set reasonable fees across the port to help meet community goals and try to harmonize fees between public and private docks. We've made some progress on that. The assumption is that the rate increase would be more than the CPI adjustment that Mr. Yucatel's proposing now. So, I mean, I think what the market bears for the private docks is pretty substantially more than that. I've heard numbers, but I don't know if they're accurate. So, so that's one thing that I wanted to put out there. We decided to kind of toe the line on funding for the private docks pending this discussion moving forward. And then moving on to capital investments. I'd like to make a little plug. We're having a public meeting about Marine Park tomorrow. We're in the design phase of that project, and we're having a meeting in the park from 3 to 5:30, and then one at the Baranoff at 6. If assembly members want to come out to that, your support is appreciated. The other things I wanted to highlight were wastewater improvements as an item that we funded in 2020 and then didn't have any passengers. So we're putting that back in. Informational signage is signage for the transit center and for Paratovich Plaza. That was a public and a city request that we're just combining because it's not a huge amount of money. And then, sorry, does somebody have a question? Okay.
You're very close. Why don't you wrap up and then we'll go to Madam Mayor.
Oh, okay. The circulator plan, we simply underfunded that project. We have 2 of 3 technical memos complete, and there's a little bit more public process before the final report. And we want to bring the consultants back up to do that. And then Seawalk expansion we're contemplating the Franklin to AJ dock connection with this. There's also a public request to fill in deck over project in your packet. If that was something that the assembly was interested in, that could be funded out of the Seawalk expansion line item. It's broad for a reason. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Ms. Pierce. Mayor Weldon.
Ms. Pierce just touched on what I was going to ask. So either I'll look to the city manager for this one. Either I would make a motion, or if it's already baked in there, to deck over that piece of property that's not decked over by the archipelago lot and it's by People's Wharf. So if it's already built into that 10 million, that would be great. If it's not, I'll make a motion to put it there.
Mr. Watt, can you answer the question that's part of that community motion?
The CIP title is broad enough to do it, but I think if the assembly is interested, make a motion. It's a good project. We're always looking for more room on the waterfront. So I think the assembly expressing priority is a good thing to do. It has, I will just say, been a priority of the assembly in the past. So pre-pandemic, the assembly wanted filling in those holes with more space. So we're just kind of getting back around to it. I think we're supportive of doing the project.
Is the expansion, is that like, can we get started on that now, or is it not reasonable? Is it more reasonable to do a deck over because we weren't going to spend the money this year on going further?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think we can spend money on both this year. The expansion, we have geotech happening right now. We're a little bit held up with federal permits for drilling in the water, but we're moving forward with that. We're working with Petro Marine on options to get over or around the fuel dock, and that project is progressing. We may have a bond package for Seawalk projects in the future. We may just be funding more Seawalk next year, depending on timing and what the body decides. I think simultaneously we can fund and start a deck over project. I think there's plenty of room and options to spend money on the Seawalk.
Thank you, Ms. Pierce, Ms. Gladaszewski, and then Ms. Huskianis.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
And then Madam Mayor. I thought you still had your hand up. Go ahead, Ms.
Mayor, want to go? Are you done? No?
I was going to make the motion, but I'll wait till you guys talk.
Okay, thank you. I have two questions. Wastewater improvements, I'm not clear what that is. Maybe you said, but I somehow missed it. And regarding the deck over, depending on what the plans are, I personally would rather spend money on expanding the Seawalk than filling in a spot that's going to cost a lot of money and we don't get all that much. So I just don't know where the negotiations are and all of that. And so how close are we to getting further? And what's the wastewater thing?
Mr. Watt.
I'll grab the wastewater thing. So because we have a lot of flows in the summer and we have infrastructure needs, the wastewater funding is partial funding for upgrades at the main pumping station. There'll be utility funds in there as well. And part of the reason for needing to use passenger fees is when ships are discharging in port, it just adds in complexity about what's happening with the wastewater system. So I think the easiest answer is partial funding for upgrades to the wastewater pumping stations.
Okay, that somehow involves cruise ships. Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Yep.
Ms. Pierce.
Sure, I can take this one, or Mr. Manager can, but with the regarding the deck over and the Seawalk expansion, we have not had any discussions about the deck over. This is kind of the first time we've talked about it tonight with this request. In terms of the Franklin to AJ dock connection, Ms. Kester and I have been working on that for about a year with Petro Marine, which is the landowner in between the two docks. And we have mutual interest in a project. They need to upgrade their facility. They recognize the efficiencies of working with us when equipment's mobilized once. And we are doing geotechnical and property value assessment work right now, which will inform the discussion about where the Seawalk goes and how the project functions. There are a couple options for how to get either over or through the fuel dock, and it really depends on the outcome of the studies that are happening right now.
And if I can add in, there are orders of magnitude different in cost. So the Seawalk connection from the AJ to Franklin Dock it's a big project, big dollar amount. $20-30 million. It's probably going to require some type of financing vehicle. Filling in the hole is probably $2 million or something like that. So it's something we could do in the short term with cash. So I think they both can proceed.
And if I could just follow up one thing, the segment that's on the other end, where are we with that? From Gold Creek?
Through the chair, there are a lot of complicated private land issues there. Of course, we have a private landowner that has a development proposal, an active development proposal in that area. We don't know the future of that project. There has not been a planning commission or assembly request or decision on that. That certainly plays into the CWAC. The Coast Guard's development plans play into the CWAC expansion discussion, as does the willingness of the landowner at the wharf. So we are continuing to be interested in building CWAC in that area. And I think there's possibly an opportunity if any one of those landowners shows interest in working with us to push forward with a longer expansion. But right now we're in a bit of a holding pattern with the private landowners in that area.
Thank you. And I know we have, but there's now orphan whale park, orphan totem poles down there that you have to walk on the highway to get to. So I'm going to continue to advocate for working on that. Thank you.
Ms. Golaszewski. Mayor Weldon, I'm sorry that I keep skipping you. Go ahead. And then I have Ms. Huskindys and Mr. Smith.
No worries. I just wanted to make the motion that of the $10 million that we use part of it for the deck over and the open space next to the archipelago lot and the People's Wharf, because it sounds like there's room for it. And if I may speak to it, this was already planned pre-COVID, and then COVID happened and we didn't have marine passenger fees, so it just kind of fell by the wayside. So this is just a reminder that we were supposed to take care of it, but we didn't. So I would ask for support for my motion.
I object.
Ms. Huskindys.
Thanks, Madam Chair. I was gonna just wind my anti-deck over sentiment into my next question. Yeah, this is a throwaway comment because I suspect I'm in the supreme minority here. I'll say the section that's closer to the road, that's without something to look at here, I can't say for certain. So maybe before I truly object, I could have that clarified for me. But if we're talking about the holes right around that area where there is water, I, like so many Juneauites, use a CWAC almost daily to take a stroll on. I see a lot of people taking lunch walks on, and I enjoy it in the off season, and I enjoy it in the season when it's swamped with tourists. And I see so many cruise ship passengers who are crowded around that and looking down into the water, and there's seals and there's fish, and I see families pointing at them. And I think it enhances a CWAC personally, rather than just having more decked over space where people are spreading out. So in some ways you gain, that many more square feet of someone pushing past, passing each other. But I don't know. I think it gives our CWAC charm, and it's a strange thing to, have perhaps a strong opinion on, but that's my rare privilege because I do have a microphone and I am sitting up here and I do have strong opinions. So I do get to object and I'm going to object. But maybe someone could clarify for me. I think I'm thinking of the right place and I'm going to object.
Ms. Huskindys, I believe you are thinking of the right location between the People's Wharf shops. So like Diamonds International and Tracy's and all of those, and the CWAC.
Thank you, Ms. Pierce. Yeah, I'll be real sad if that goes away.
Mr. Smith, were you hoping to speak on this topic, or do you want me to come back? Okay, go ahead.
Thanks, Madam Chair. I guess I was just curious. So this has been in the plan. The plan was to deck this over. Like I actually like the open space too. It hadn't been planned for like a wishing well or anyway, it had always been planned just to pave it over and anyway, yes, there was a plan that like people that had public comment and agreement on this.
Mr. Watt.
So when Mr. Uchitel advanced the Archipelago project, and we decked over that area, and we did the land trade with the Morris Corporation. At that time, the assembly itself expressed strong interest in decking over those two holes. So it was really the assembly, and there were adjacent property owners that really liked the idea, the one that's closer to the tram. And that's the one that you've received public comment on recently.
I think this is connected. And I guess my question is, I appreciate you compiling the public comments and everything, Ms. Pierce, and I appreciate that we went out and asked for that. I just didn't understand why certain things were on the list and certain things were not. Like, was there this was a public comment about that, right? But it didn't make it onto your kind of summary list, or at least I didn't think so. I didn't know if things were struck for a certain reason, or anyway, I was trying to figure that out.
So this comment came in after the comment period. And so when we looked at it and we said, oh, right, we were geared up to do that in 2020. And then we had a pandemic and we forgot about it.
Okay, and maybe that's why other comments were included in the packet, but were not written into the summary list. Okay. And then do we consider those comments? Thank you. Okay.
Ms. Wall.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a clarification on process here. If we do vote to put this on the list, there would still come back to us an appropriation at some point in a public process around the specific project, or am I incorrect?
So yes. So if you say, yes, let's prioritize it, it will be in your budget documents, will be this $10 million, and this will act as direction to staff to proceed with that project. Then in order to do that project, we'll go to the Planning Commission and we'll get a city project review, and there'll be a public process where people can comment on it. And then it would come to the assembly for probably a bid award would be the next time you would see it.
The part, there's one entity on the farther north hole that their business kind of stops where the hole is, and I don't know if that is on the other side of the hole is owned by them or not. But if we decked over that part, I mean, what happens to that business and their space? Does it just automatically expand, or what?
Thank you. There's we've been talking about the south hole, and so then this would be the north hole. The business owner adjacent to the, and Mr. Uchitel is pointing out, it's in your packet, page 99. That business owner actually leases that tidelands and pays Docks and Harbors a substantial lease fee for that unfilled, undecked tidelands. And so that would not be in our discretion at this point in time to deck that over. If that business owner relinquished that lease, and then if we chose to deck it over, then we would have to talk about boundaries between business and public space.
They're leasing the hole.
That's correct. Or a significant amount of money.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Watt. Any other discussion on the motion? We do have objections, so.
Madam Chair.
Ms. Gladishevsky.
So one thing is I wasn't clear on which deck over we're talking about. So first of all, to understand the motion, we're talking about the open water on page 99. I thought we were talking about the open water further towards the.
We're talking about the south hole, not the north hole.
Okay. Okay.
Madam Chair, if I may, the public request is on page 120 of your packet, and it has an excellent illustration of the hole with guidance.
Okay. So I also object. I agree with Ms. Hughes-Candy. I don't know that we had a public process at all. I don't know. I don't recall who mentioned let's deck over the holes, but I would rather see more seawalk than I too like the water. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Gladishevsky. Ms. Spiegel, will you please call our roll?
Thank you, Chair Tree. On the motion to use part of the $10 million allocated for seawalk expansion for deck-over of the open space next to the archipelago. Mayor Walden.
Yes.
Assemblymember Hughes-Candies.
No.
Assemblymember Smith.
No.
Assemblymember Wall.
Yes.
Assemblymember Gladishevsky.
No.
Assemblymember Hale.
Yes.
Assemblymember Bryson.
Yes.
Chair Treem.
No.
Motion fails, 4 ayes, 4 nays.
Is there more discussion on passenger fees? They are coming back to us as part of a quirk in the process. We do have to look at these twice. Ms. Wall.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I'm sorry to stretch this out even further, but my question was about the Capital City Civic Center. Again, you know, if we pass this as is, that will come back to us. But my question is, what is the intent for that money? So we just passed $5 million for the Capital Civic Center with a clause that says we're not going to actually spend this unless a bunch more money comes in. Is the intent that this $1 million would be used for something, or it's going to be used for something only once a much bigger project is put together?
Thank you. It would be the same intent once a bigger something is put together.
Mr. Smith.
Thank you, Madam Chair. On the circulator funds, I see on page 29 of the packet, and the FY24 request is 20,000 and the FY25 is 150. What is, could you tell me what that, why it's whatever programmed like that?
I'm sorry, through the chair, what page was that? Was that on page 29?
Yes, packet page 29, kind of the infrastructure, plan or something.
That's proposed implementation funding. Sorry, through the chair. So should this project, this is a CIP type overtime projection, should the circulator project come back with planning project come back with a proposed project, the $1.5 million would be to implement the results of that plan. And that's really just a best guess, showing that there would likely be passenger fee funds associated with implementation of whatever that planning process comes out with.
Okay, so the 20,000 actually gets us is the actual circulator plan, like that we will get a full report, whatever. deliverable with 20,000.
Yeah, through the chair, that's correct. So we had funded this last year. The planning project is currently underway. We simply underfunded the project.
Okay.
It's it consulting services. We didn't really understand the scope fully until we got into the RFP process.
Ms. Candies.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, or Madam Chair, Madam Acting Mayor. It's just habit. I appreciate this. I don't have any other questions. Thank you for clarifying the process. This will come back on the 10th for action, it looks like. Sounds like it's okay this evening to make amendments process-wise. And so for that reason, I am going to propose an amendment in the third-party visitor service section by Assembly Grant on page 34. And I am going to move to amend the lines for AJ Dock access control security, AJ Dock restroom maintenance, Franklin Dock access control security, and Franklin Dock restroom maintenance be zeroed out. So that is a reduction of $320,000 from this section. And I'll speak to that. In prior years, anyone who's been on the assembly or previous years on the assembly when we've looked at this section of the budget, I have been uncomfortable in the past with these fees going to private docks. And I believe I've objected for a conversation before and in some years removed my objection. But I feel like this year it is really through conversation with folks who support this funding. It is articulated more clearly in my own mind, my discomfort with it. And that is that this really is, when we look at the mechanism of our taxes and who is paying that tax, it is really those passengers who are paying that tax. And it feels like really unequal treatment that this is a private business with these docks, and there's no one else in the borough that we give money back to for collecting those pass-through taxes. And I'm aware right now, as part of a larger process, we're trying to work towards this. I appreciate Ms. Pierce's moving 5D chess or 6D chess and trying to get us to, best ship, best dock, and trying to make equality between the docks. And that is a very complicated puzzle indeed, but these are still public funds. And while they are collected at those docks, I think that because those docks are setting their own rates, that they can set those rates to allow them to maintain their own restrooms and pay for these security mandates. So that's my amendment.
Thank you. Ms. Candies, is there objection? Mayor Weldon.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I appreciate Ms. Hughes-Candy's sentiments, but I disagree with her, so I object. These private docks allow us to get more marine passenger fees and $103,000 out of 20 million is a very small percentage to when they're bringing passengers in. And this is different than other taxes on other pass-throughs because it's a head tax on a passenger that steps off onto their dock. It's quite the same at all. So I would object because I think those are reasonable expenses to use marine passenger fees for. And I'm afraid if we don't do them, then the restrooms will not get maintained as well as the city maintains them. And that will just cause more problems.
Mr. Smith.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just ask the manager, Ms. Pierce, what their kind of rationale or philosophy was for including that in the plan or the the funding plan or whatever.
Thank you through the chair. Mr. Smith, our rationale for including is partly that this is this is the formula that we'd agreed to with the private docs in the past. And this is, and in our minds, this is kind of the base level services that passengers expect when they're using a facility or they're stepping off at a facility, that some of the fees that they're spending would go towards things like restrooms or security services that are required at all docks. I can certainly send you a lengthy legal opinion from former Mayor Botello on how we use passenger fees at private docks. But this is kind of what we've historically fallen down on. It's in our mind, it's a fair, as the Madam Mayor said, it's a fairly small amount of the overall budget. And those restrooms are open to the public as well. We have the same security requirements at our docks. And as Ms. Hughes-Scandies alluded to, we're working to figure out how we normalize fees. And I believe a component of that, and what'll come back to you hopefully over the next few months, is some sort of long-term agreement on how we fund private docks, whether we maintain the restrooms and security, whether we have a flat fee for all docks, public and private, because we're making way more money off of our own docks, whether we have a list of acceptable expenditures. It depends on the outcome of those conversations. So my recommendation would be to stay the course for this year and allow a longer conversation later. And Mr. Manager, I don't know if you have anything to add on that.
I'll just add a couple things. So I would say over time, recently, we have narrowed the funding to the private docks. So that this is the narrowest that it's been. In the early years of private docks and passenger fees, it was more erratic and inconsistent. And the best philosophy that we've landed on is that port security is kind of an area-wide function. Restrooms are an area-wide function. We provide restrooms and port security, and so do the private docks, and we fund them at the public and private docks. And that seems to be the best rationale that we've come up with, and all the other funding requests have fallen by the wayside.
Ms. Hughes-Scandies.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just really quick and wrap up. I was glad Madam Mayor brought up, maybe she brought up restrooms, someone brought up restrooms, because that is one thing that is, obviously it's hugely important. And while $320,000 sounds like a small amount, I'm just following the mayor's advice to pay a diligent attention to every dollar that I'm adding to the budget. So I'm really just following her reasoned tutelage. But I will say that I don't want to be the bathroom guy, but I hear all the time on the street, what's the city going to do? We need more bathrooms downtown. And if I took this out, I would say, and use this for, where else can we put a bathroom? Or, it should go towards something like providing another city bathroom. And I'll just say, if you're in the dock game, you might expect that port security would be one of your expenses because you're in the business of having a dock. They have a vested interest themselves in having a maintained restroom. And finally, the sort of moment of clarity, like I said, over a cup of coffee with someone who is a proponent of the docks receiving these fees, they do step off the dock, and that is where that fee is collected. But, I pay tax on that cup of coffee at Heritage, and I couldn't pay that tax to the city if Heritage wasn't there. So from Heritage's perspective, I'm sure they also want to maintain their restroom. And the city couldn't have received my sales tax if Heritage wasn't there selling me a cup of coffee. So that kind of logic just doesn't track for me, that that's where it's collected so that they're entitled to it. And with that, I'll stop.
Thank you, Ms. Hughes. I think you've just guaranteed that you will be the bathroom guy from now on. Okay, we have a motion and objection. Ms. Spiegel, will you call our roll?
Thank you, Chair Trame. On the motion to propose an amendment to the third-party visitor section of the passenger fee proposal to zero out the lines for AJ Dock and Franklin Dock access security and restroom maintenance. Assemblymember Hughes Candies.
Yes.
Mayor Weldon.
No.
Assemblymember Hale.
No.
Assemblymember Wall.
No.
Assemblymember Gladishevsky.
No.
Assemblymember Bryson.
No.
Assemblymember Smith.
No.
Chair Trame.
Yes.
Motion fails, 2 ayes, 6 nays.
Ms. Gladishevsky, I thought I saw you with your hand up before the amendment. Do you have something?
I did, but no, I can't remember. Oh yeah, no. It was math. On page 34, it says tourism management 229 total, and then there's indented things. And so for a while I thought all the indented things added up to 229, but it does not. So now I'm just clarifying that 229 is its own thing, and that's to fund what? Ms. Pierce's salary is one thing. What's in the 229? The other things add up to 345. So anyway, what's the 229?
Ms. Spiegel might have the answer.
Thank you, Chair Trame. It's mainly Ms. Pierce's salary. Some travel is in that budget as well, and general operational expenses, such as advertising, office supplies, things like that.
Okay, but mostly it's salary and travel for Ms. Pierce. Mostly. Yep.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Spiegel is nodding yes.
Okay, thank you. I can't see. Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Smith.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Hopefully we're moving on, but I did just want to, well, I mean, we can move as fast as we need, but I guess one thing I think I will be looking into is are these water filling stations. I don't think ready to make an amendment yet, but want to get some more information on that project. Anyway, and then I'm looking forward to working with Miss Hughes Candies on maybe another bathroom downtown.
Bathroom guy's already claimed.
The bathroom boy.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Smith.
Madam Chair, if I may, I would like to remind the committee that we did fund water bottle filling stations last year, and it's on the CIP list somewhere for eventual assignment to a project manager and deployment.
Thank you, Ms. Pierce. Ms. Gladishevsky.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to say one thing because Ms. Pierce is going on to discuss these kinds of things with the industry that when we've discussed improvements to private docks in the past with this money, I've always objected to that. I only didn't object this time because you're in the process of working with them to work this out. But in general, I agree with Ms. Hughes Candies. When you have a private dock, you charge a fee for it, and these things are operational expenses. We've been doing it, so that's why I didn't object this year. But I would encourage certainly me that the Assembly is becoming increasingly less, I think, supportive of money. These fees, it's not a tax, these fees spent on private docks. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Gladishevsky. So we're only 2 items into our agenda. What is the will of the body? I was thinking maybe we could do the hotel bed tax funding overview from Mr. Rogers before we take another break. Does that sound good to everybody? Okay. We will keep on moving then. Hotel bed tax funding overview. We do have Travel Juneau, of course, tonight. So these 2 topics go hand in hand. So we're just going to get information from Mr. Rogers and we can make decisions at the end after we've amalgamated everything.
Thank you, Chair Treem. I'm going to speak to the memo that starts on page 139 of your packet. There's also information in your budget book on page 66. That's the hotel tax fund. And then also DOC 7 is the revenue forecast for hotel bed tax. In any event, I think I'll skip the bulk of the memo and just come to page 141, which is the overall planned use in the 2024 proposed manager's budget for hotel bed tax. So importantly, starting with the revenue, 3.42 million is the projection for FY24. Hopefully I'm not as off as far as I was last year, because you'd have a lot more than that. I think that projection is probably pretty fair. If we get any indication before the end of the process that something in current information tells us that would be different, we'll share it with you. But I don't have anything to suggest right now that it would be markedly different than that. That we work that backwards. We simply divide 3.42 million divided by 9, and then we multiply it by 4 to get the amount that's allocated for tourism promotion, and we multiply it by 3 to get the amount that's allocated for Centennial Hall operations, and then by 2% to get Centennial Hall improvements. Following this table on page 141, you can see that a really big number for hotel bed tax creates a really big allocation per assembly memos and other artifacts of history from the 1970s and 80s. It would allocate revenue from hotel bed tax to tourism promotion in the amount of 1.52 million, Centennial Hall operations in the amount of 1.14 million, and Centennial Hall improvements in the amount of 760,000. What's in the manager's proposed budget for Centennial Hall operations, a general government service, is 670,500. That's based on the third-party management agreement that we have with the Juneau Arts and Humanities Council for the management of Centennial Hall, and then 229,200 for Centennial Hall improvements. That is just the general obligation debt service on the bond that was issued for improvements to Centennial Hall. We have recommended that the balance of both of those amounts just be held in hotel bed tax fund, the fund for any future use of the assembly. There are some incidental costs there that I don't think I'll cover here. I think that probably the big decision that lies in front of the assembly, I mean, obviously you could choose to adjust any of this, but I think the big decision that lies in front of the assembly is that the amount that we've allocated, not that we've allocated, but that the amount that we are indicated to allocate to tourism promotion, 4% of 9 yields 1.52 million. That is almost a $500,000 increase over the funding last year. And it is less than the 1.3 million currently requested by Travel Juneau. Travel Juneau does consult with me. I'm sorry. I'm not sure what I said.
We understood.
1.3 million is the request from Travel Juneau, and it is less than the funding that is available for it. Travel Juneau does consult with me in the fall, trying to get a sense of a future forecast in terms of they're working through their own budget process with their board about how much they would request. In fall, I think in November, I did indicate to Ms. Perry that I thought 1.3 million was a good planning number. That was before we had seen the magnitude of the first quarter hotel bed tax return. So our forecasts have changed between the time that Ms. Perry and her board started their process and now. I think that there's a real question for the assembly about whether or not the 4.32% of 9 funding methodology just even accomplishes the assembly's goals anymore. And I'm not saying that it doesn't. I'm just saying the numbers are getting big in a way that that at least on the Centennial Hall side, we don't necessarily have expenditures to use them for. Obviously, that money can be retained in fund balance. You have invested hotel bed tax funds and other related tourism and housing things, so that's good. At the chair's request, I included a previous memo from September 7th, which is on the very next page. That's just kind of an educational piece on how much of that revenue we think is likely non-hotels, meaning short-term rentals, and some options potentially on thinking about using some amount of hotel bed tax for the purpose of affordable housing or redesigning the historic allocation. I think those are all decisions that sit squarely in front of the assembly. I don't think it's, I don't weigh in on them in any way other than to say there's a lot of money. That funding allocation may not be accomplishing the assembly's, the current assembly's intent in any way. I think if there's not, I would leave it at that. And if there are other questions about any of this, including the Centennial Hall portion, or the fact that we've got we're spending the Harmari short-term data. I mean, there's other things going on here. If there are questions about any of that, I'm happy to answer them. Otherwise, I think Ms. Perry can proceed with the Travel Juneau presentation.
Mayor Weldon and then Ms. Gladaszewski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm wondering on the Centennial Hall improvements, I understand about the $229,000 to pay off the bond, whatever it was, but I'm wondering why none of the $760,000 was staying as improvements. Is that because we have nothing to do this year that's not already funded, and that's why it's being put in the fund balance? That's my only question.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. I think that there are demands that for Centennial Hall improvements that could absolutely come forward to the assembly. I think it's fair to say that if Director Kester thought that the assembly was looking for or was interested in endorsing additional funds from hotel bed tax for Centennial Hall improvement projects, Engineering and Public Works would probably have them forthcoming. There are some maintenance projects that have come not from Public Works and Engineering, but have come from building maintenance out of Parks and Rec that would love to tap some amount of that money. And I think if it was the Assembly's intent that we brought those projects forward, we would. There is another background idea, which is that Centennial Hall is a facility that many people have eyes on some significant improvement or expansion of. There is a possibility that at some point accumulated hotel bed tax receipts sitting in fund balance would be available to that project at some point in the future when it's ripe. I think the Assembly has lots of options with what to do with hotel fund fund balance in various dimensions, including tourism, operation of a convention center, and also this concept about using some of that money for affordable housing.
Ms. Gladaszewski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Maybe my comments should wait till after Travel Juneau does there. I don't want to hold them up anymore, but I definitely would like to have the conversation about 40-year-old resolutions. And there's a reason the state constitution says no dedicated funds. It's because of this sort of thing, and it gets you in a bind later on. So maybe we can have that conversation sometime after Travel Juneau does their thing. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Gladaszewski. Ms. Hale.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I'm just not sure of the order of what we're looking at here. And I agree that the conversation around the Travel Juneau budget is going to inform this. What I'm wondering about this discussion of hotel bed tax, both memos actually, is that I'm wondering if we have to have those discussions now, or if that's a substantial item to actually have the Finance Committee work on over a couple of meetings, because I'm tired and we're trying to actually come up with a budget to pass for the entire city. And Ms. Gladaszewski is right. There's some really important things to tussle with, but it doesn't seem like, I don't know that the urgency is there. The importance is there. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Hale. I don't think we need to come up with a new allocation method tonight, but that information is there to inform our decision making, but we can certainly discuss that topic in future meetings. Mayor Weldon.
I agree with Ms. Hale and what you just said, and it doesn't even need to be part of this budget process. It can be done after the budget.
Yep, I agree. I just want to make sure we do it.
Yeah. Okay. Let's do like a real 2-minute break. And then we'll come back and we'll move on to Travel Juneau. Okay, we are back and we will go straight to Ms. Perry with Travel Juneau.
Thank you, Chair Treem. You will recall that we went through a fairly comprehensive process with the Lands, Housing and Economic Development Committee over the last year and a half that resulted in a MOA that was very comprehensive. We're reporting on additional metrics per that MOA. And these are pieces of data that we have collected over a number of years, and they regularly get reported out to our board. So we appreciate the Assembly's consideration of our budget requests, both for, marine passenger fees, hotel bed tax, and the different pieces that do come from the city. We also appreciate the opportunity to report quarterly to the Lands Committee so that we can keep the Assembly apprised of all of this. Very quickly, I do want to just point out a couple of highlights. One is which, if you take a look, I believe it's on page 147 of your packet, that Travel Juneau has a worldwide reach. You can see by that map that there are very few places across the globe that we do not receive web traffic from. This has gone up substantially over the last couple of years. And we also want to point out that we have a demographic that is skewing younger. It is also skewing toward females. We know that women tend to be the planners in most families. There's also an increased interest in solo travel. So a lot of women are looking at traveling solo, and they're looking for safe places to do that. So we're seeing that as a part of our marketing as they look to have an adventure that they're going to be safe in. Also, you will see on I think it's page 144 of your packet, the general site traffic. It shows year over year, we've seen a 36% increase from same period in 22 over 23. This is a result of the marketing that we've done, our ability to bring in, for example, Ironman, and we're looking at other ways to replace that with a right-sized event and get that off the ground for the city. So we are pretty confident that what we're doing is working. We are hitting our metro areas that we're targeting, and that's borne out with additional data, which I can get to the Assembly if you wish to see it, showing our metro areas and other geographic demographic information that you may want to have. So, our hotel occupancy by the MOA, that was set at about, we were supposed to hit a 65% occupancy over the course of a year. We're sitting right now at about 63.3 over this fiscal currently. Part of that is driven by the lack of having Centennial Hall at our disposal. So we missed out on having fly-ins and other association meetings this spring because Centennial Hall was not online. Otherwise, that percentage would be closer to target. That said, I believe that by the end of the fiscal, we will probably come closer to hitting that target of 65%. And I'm happy to answer any questions if you have those right now before I dive into our budget request and just some highlights from that. Okay, then. We have, as Mr. Rogers alluded to, a request for $1.3 million. This was derived back in November. We built our budget around that, and we have a lot of opportunities, I think, in the upcoming year to expand our reach in a number of ways. One thing I will let the assembly know is that we have we're putting significantly more resources into staffing. Staff at Travel Juneau has not seen an increase in the floor of their positions in a number of years. I'm losing staff to higher paying jobs, both in the private and public sector. We're a small team, so when I lose one, or even right now, I am having to replace 3 people out of 7. One of the high spots is that our destination marketing manager, Kara Tetley, will be taking on the ED position in Ketchikan. She is taking Patty Mackey's place. So I have mixed feelings about that. I'm very happy for her, but that is going to be a big hole to fill. So as staff have other opportunities, I want to find ways to incentivize these positions and bring them closer to par as we move through. Certainly we can't do that in one budget year, but we would do it incrementally. We have, of course, had the same increases that you've heard about all evening from Mr. Yucatel, for example, increased costs in insurance, medical, all those price increases. We're seeing price increases from our vendors as well. It's the same story that the Assembly is hyper aware of. A couple of high points that I want to point out is that on line 6400 of the budget, it's labeled for shows. We have found that trade shows are a more and more important part of our marketing. It gives us a chance to get out in front of meeting planners, in front of tour operators, and get face time with them, build those relationships so they feel comfortable bringing people into Juneau. And we would like to take advantage of some opportunities we have there. The other piece I would like to draw your attention to are lines 6500 and 6505. These fall into meeting support and also local event support. We have an opportunity to really support some homegrown events. We found through the Ironman process that we now have the playbook for that. We know that we have an opportunity to grow some of these events, which may include Auckman, for example. Travel Juneau has an opportunity to provide them with additional promotional support so that they can grow that event. Their board is looking at growing that event and increasing its size. We want to bring the athletes into town and make that a right-sized event for Juneau. So this would be, in our opinion, much better even than having Ironman, because all that money stays in Alaska. We're not paying out fees to, some out-of-town organization. The other piece I want to draw your attention to would be line 6720 in destination digital advertising. We have an opportunity to increase our presence in what we call over-the-top advertising, or otherwise known as OTT. These are the ads you see on streaming services that you cannot get past. You have to sit through them, and we want to take advantage of that. So we're looking into opportunities to get that done. It is expensive. Even for relatively short runs, I can get you detail on that if you would like to see that. But we would like to delve into getting more video and appropriate advertising, and then strategically plot the OTT into metro areas that we're really trying to get people from. We also are working with Alaskan Brewing on a giveaway for 2024. So our expenses on that side would come in that budget year. They are starting a giveaway program as they launch a new product out into some new markets. We'll be giving away a trip for 2 for 5 days here in Juneau, and we'll be following them. So there'll be a huge social media presence around that, as well as the opportunity again to get into some really great metro areas that we haven't had really a lot of access to until then. The rest of the budget is pretty much as you would expect. We have had, again, price increases through, insurance. Fortunately, our our landlord has kept our costs the same through till the end of next fiscal year, but we anticipate a huge bump at that point. But other things have increased. So with that, I am happy to answer any questions or turn it over to McHugh for additional remarks.
Thank you, Madam Chair. For the record, McHugh Pierre, Chair of Travel Juneau. I just wanted to address a policy question or position from the board so you all understood. We didn't go into this budget process seeking an increase. We went into this budget process trying to utilize the funds appropriately and responsibly to gather more independent travelers in summertime and wintertime, knowing that our hotel rates have been increased. We knew that an increased amount of tax was going to be generated. We don't anticipate those rates staying high, but we're also trying to drive demand with independent travelers. So our supply of hotel rooms is able to meet and even out. So I think that if we continue to see the visitor volume that we have and that visitor volume increases, we see the need for developers and the willingness of developers to provide more space, and therefore the prices will go down. But the fluctuation, will be obviously in the coming years. So we appreciate your respecting our process and allowing us to pitch this proposal to you, and we appreciate the opportunity to report, and we're excited for the results every year. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any questions? Mr. Smith.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Ms. Perry and Mr. Pierre for being here. Just wanted to check in, and I'm sorry if I missed it in your documents. Could you speak to your fund balance or whatever you call it, your reserves or whatever? Yeah, just if you'd speak to, what that is currently and what it would be, if this budget went as approved.
Thank you for that, Mr. Smith, through the chair. We do not currently have a fund balance of hotel bed tax associated with Travel Juneau at this time that I am aware of. We do have a savings account at about $270,000. That is our designated reserve in case we have something catastrophic happen. That is all earned income. We also have the savings account at Wells Fargo associated with our checking account, from which that's where the hotel bed tax and other grant funds go. And then we pull from that to make budget. But really the designated fund reserve is for us the only fallback we've got.
Ms. Hill.
Thank you. I was kind of wondering that myself, because on page 148, close to the bottom, there's a TJ reserves of 106,500. This was for FY23.
Mm-hmm.
So is that saying that you had to use 106,000 from your reserves in 23 from your savings account?
To pay for Ironman, and then of course we did get incremental funding earlier this year. But yes, and if you take a look at the first page of the budget, you'll see on line 4770.
Yeah,
that there's $106,000 that was to come from our reserves to pay for a good deal of the Ironman piece, as well as some additional promotion that we took on.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Wall.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll ask a non-budget question since you put so much useful information into this packet. Every year I'm blown away by the same thing, which is that the top landing page or the second landing page is travel to Juneau by ferry. Blows me away because it feels like no one puts any effort into trying to make sure independent travelers are getting here by ferry. And so when I see this, I think people really want to, or people are moving to Juneau and this is the only resource they can find on how to do it. So do you have more information on, are there efforts are people doing that? And are there efforts to support people? To me, it seems hard as an independent traveler to use our ferry to visit Juneau or Southeast Alaska.
Thank you, Ms. Wall, for that. And through the chair, we do work with the Alaska Marine Highways Marketing Department, especially for all of Southeast through the Southeast Alaska Tourism Council to provide visitors with as much information as we can through their website, through their marketing materials to encourage that level of travel. As you know, with the ferry schedule being so difficult, we are missing, I think, quite a big chunk of that travel market because people simply cannot plan as well as they would like. So I think what we're facing is that there is the will, people want to travel that way, but the highway system at the moment is not designed for people to make plans more than 6 months in advance. So that does hamper some of our efforts. And we try to pass those comments along to the Marine Highway System as we get them.
Mr. Bryson.
Thank you, Madam Temporary Mayor. Sorry. Thank you guys both for coming. And this is just an incredible and vast information. I really appreciate how you've broken things down. Do you have plans or strategy or a marketing program for when Centennial Hall does come back online, and how will you kind of re-engage those groups at signing back up for Centennial Hall once it's back up and running? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bryson. Through the chair, our new, and we have renamed that department into event and group sales, so it's no longer known as convention sales. Basically the same concept, but we wanted to update the name. Our manager is actively seeking prospects and is also looking to provide services to folks who are in Centennial for as soon as it opens up. And we are actively attempting to sell Centennial Hall as soon as it becomes available. At our staff meeting this morning, she reported that 2024 is practically full. So we have requests from groups who are wanting to come in that would require the hall, and we're having difficulty finding the time to put them in. So in some cases we can double up, but we're working actively with hall staff to get those groups in there as much as possible. And if not, then we are using other facilities in town, such as the Elizabeth Paradovich Hall and other facilities. But we have a group of 150, even especially we have a group now who's looking at 300 people for several days. They have to have Centennial. They have set dates that they can be there. And it's just not available.
Demand is high.
It's the demand. The demand is there.
Ms. Gladaszewski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for all this information, and I'm super interested in. Do you know what happened that suddenly people want to have a convention in Juneau, or do you think it's pent up because they couldn't have it the year before, or is it usual that this far in advance Centennial Hall is booked as much as you say? That's super encouraging.
Thank you, Ms. Gladaszewski, and through the chair, we are seeing increased demand for Juneau because it is off the beaten track. People are actually getting tired of going places like Las Vegas, believe it or not, and they want to go places where they can have an adventure and have a staycation. And if you're bringing your family with you, maybe you do or don't want to, have a place like Las Vegas. We are seeing demand into 2026 at this point, and we have meetings that are either in the pipeline or we are chasing down and are definite well into the 2026 calendar year. Planners are now in a position where they can plan a little bit farther out, and we're getting right now we have several leads that we're actively working for 25 and into 26. So at the moment we've got 17 million plus almost $18 million in the pipeline, either as definite business or business that we are chasing down. And the last date I've got in 26 right now is July. So there's still a lot of potential in there to increase the number of meetings coming in through that pipeline.
Madam Chair, follow on, if I may, to Ms. Gladaszewski. I think this is also, the closure has sparked local organizations to really secure its need for the space as well. I can tell you personally, Gold Belt has booked out for 5 years, right? So, I mean, other organizations like us have said, wow, this is really important and we can't sleep on thinking we have access to Centennial Hall for our events. And that's really helped fill up the space and allow us and Liz to plan appropriately and show accurate demand for the space on an annual basis.
Thank you.
Ms. Hale.
Kind of building on that, thank you for being here, both of you. Do you also sense that there's some sort of COVID rebound going on? Because I think that's been a factor as well.
Thank you, Ms. Hale. Through the chair, yes, there is a great deal of pent-up demand for meetings. In the future, we will have meetings that will have a hybrid component to them. I don't think that is going to go away anytime soon. And we are just seeing a lot of larger groups, 250 to 300 people who are now exhibiting some interest in Juneau, either as a lead that we are chasing, we're seeking them out, or they are calling us. And I think it's a factor of what Juneau is and just the overall pent-up demand. Business travel has not rebounded at the rate that leisure travel has, but, and you have used this term before with this group, the idea of bleisure travel. You come in a couple of days ahead of your event, or you stay a couple of days behind your event, you bring your family with you, and that extends that experience. So that's more hotel space aside from, and it adds that leisure component to the business component.
Ms. Euskandis.
Thank you, Madam Chair. If you are ready for a motion, I'm not seeing any questions. Okay. I move the travel Juneau budget with an amendment. I would propose setting the travel Juneau budget at 1.1 million. And lest you think I pulled that number out of the air, based on Mr. Rogers' memos showing the increase from the last year, perhaps being larger than expected or larger than we might want to set it. 1.1 million will give an increase of 10% over last year's budget, which is a number that we've kind of have some precedent that we've been setting this budget year to account for inflation and the need to increase salary costs, if nothing else, and the increased cost of doing business. So
For purpose
propose that. Yep.
Ms. Hale.
Thank you. If I may ask the maker of the motion a question. So Ms. Euskandis, when you say 1.1 million, you're talking about what we pull out of hotel bed tax. But I'm just seeing the bottom line on page 148. That's not in the budget, that 1.1, if we dropped 1.1 million, it's not a 10% increase. I'm not sure.
Yes, sorry.
Thank you.
I should clarify that. There's a lot of moving pieces on this one, and that's because the percentages of the different tax and maybe Mr. Rogers would say it a better way, but I mean just for the CBJ grant piece of that budget.
In our budget, it would change to 1.1 million. Excuse me.
And in our budget right now is proposed at 1.5, I believe. So it would be amending what's in the manager's budget to 1.1.
Ms. Gladaszewski and then Mr.
I'm just trying to clarify the motion. Is it about page 148? It's not, because you just said the whole budget and their budget's more than us. So you would amend, the line on the top of 148 from 1.3 to 1.1.
Correct.
Okay, so that's you're just talking about the Okay,
Just
I
our
wanna make-
contribution, just the CBJ grant piece of their budget. And
So
then I mentioned they
on
would-
page 148, the cell on the top right, instead of 1.3, you would make it 1.1.
Correct.
Okay,
And then-
thanks.
Yes.
Our control over their budget is limited to that cell.
Yeah, I gotta object.
1 second, Mr. Bryson, Mr. Smith, I had your name down.
Thanks, Madam Chair. Just would like to hear from Ms. Perry on if that were to be approved, you know, what would be your actions? Though I realize it's, you know, anyway, thoughts on what you would do to pare that down by 200,000.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Through the chair, that would affect our payroll. Right, you know, kind of out the gate, but I would probably pare back on some of the initiatives that I just mentioned. So that would cut our ability to support a local event. It would cut our ability to get ahead of steam with the over-the-top advertising. So marketing pieces would have to be adjusted downward to accommodate that. There are some other pieces in the fixed costs that we don't have any control over that would have to stay as is. You know, our IT, our database, those costs have gone up, our insurance has gone up. So those are not things I can adjust. So I would have to slow the pace of any pay increases for salaries and any incentives I would do there. And then we would have to, I'd have to find additional cost savings in marketing.
Mr. Bryson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would have to, I don't want to use the word strongly, but I would strongly object to this and warn us against this course of action. Right now, we're just told we have a record number of hotel bed tax money, the most money that's ever been going into hotels. And so then a business comes in and be like, hey, we're doing great. We should cut our advertising budget. It just doesn't make any sense. Juneau is doing so well because of the marketing message that has been going out. So to then say, hey, we're doing great, we've got great hotels, let's reduce our marketing budget is, I would say, contrary to good business practices. The marketing that Travel Juneau and the programs and the actions that you have done have proven year after year that they add benefit and value to our community. And like I've stated lots of times, everybody wants to go to Alaska. This is the group that reaches out and says, how do you do it? So reducing their budget after they're giving us great results is counterproductive. While I understand we want to be careful with every nickel that we spend, the fact that one of the consequences of their good work is high hotel usage, we don't want to penalize them for that. At the very least, we should go with the drafted, maybe not do the 1.5, but at least go with the 1.3 and not penalize them for the good work that they're doing, because reducing their budget in the face of record setting hotel numbers, which is kind of the metrics that we use to judge how well they're doing, it just seems very counterproductive and bad for future Juneau business. What's followed after, hey, we cut the marketing budget, well, we reduce sales. Well, that's the opposite of what we want to do. We want to continue to grow our independent travelers, because if we don't grow independent travelers, there's going to be a higher demand for cruise ship travelers. So which direction do we want to go? We really want independent travelers. Let's reward and facilitate this organization that does that. Thank you for the time.
Thank you, Mr. Bryson, Ms. Hale, and then Ms. Wall.
I think Ms. Wall had her.
Oh, okay, Ms. Wall.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a question for Mr. Rogers, and I'm sorry, I know all the answers are in here somewhere and there's a lot of stuff and it's late. Will you remind us what is in the budget, the manager's budget for the amount going to Travel Juneau from hotel bed tax, the 1.3 or 1.5 approximately? And then in the budget, is the is there a balance remaining in hotel bed tax, or does that come back into the general fund in the manager's budget?
Thank you, Assemblymember Wall. So the amount that's proposed in the manager's budget as a grant for Travel Juneau for the purpose of the 4% of 9 for tourism promotion is 1.52 million. The budget as we see it today does forecast an ending fund balance in the hotel bed tax fund of approximately $250,000, growing by almost $1 million in FY24 because of the underspent Centennial Hall portions. So there truly is a abundant revenue here, and what will be growing fund balance unless it's disposed of otherwise.
Ms. Hale.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I think I have a better grip. I was trying to do math in my head, and for some reason it wasn't working. So if I look at the total revenues on page 148, and the budgeted total revenue is $2,027,786. And if I remove 200,000 from that, I get 1,827,786. And tell me if I'm doing my math wrong. And that is a 0.7% increase over FY23's budget. And we've just been having all these conversations from everyone, including members of the public that testified, about how all the costs have gone up. The CPI last year was 8.1%. So I object to that. I understand where Ms. Candies is coming from, but I agree with Mr. Bryson that we don't want to punish our marketers for Juneau, and we want to give them the budget that they need, which is the $2 million. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hale. I'm going to ask a question briefly. So we did establish that the CBJ portion is not the entire amount of your revenue. Can you discuss what your other revenue sources are and what your ability is to increase those?
Thank you, Chair Treen. We have additional revenues that come through our paid partners in the form of their entry fee of $400 per partner. We also have revenue. If you take a look at, for example, lines 4,100 through about 4,100 through 4,500, that is all earned income. So these are opportunities for our partners to participate in travel fair. There's additional marketing opportunities for them to purchase advertising on the website, purchase advertising for our print guide. That all constitutes earned income. We also retain a bit of earned income from the Crossing Guard program, 10%, to cover our costs to handle and administer that program. And then we do get a grant of marine passenger fees that supports our visitor information services department, supports staff, and supports our volunteers and the materials that go down to the dock at our 2 information centers on the dock.
Thank you, Ms. Perry. Ms. Gladszewski.
Just a question for the maker of the motion. There's a couple of different numbers out there. Ms. Hale suggested it was a 7% increase, and you were saying the CBJ portion is a 10% increase. Can you clarify your math? And I don't know where the previous year's bed tax line is in these papers. So
Ms. Spiegel, can you point us to the page in the budget book where our contribution, I don't think we have passed Travel Juneau budgets, but we can look at what the CBJ contribution has been the last couple of years.
Chair Tree, I can tell you that it's on page 66.
If I may.
66 of what, Mr.
66 of the budget book. And that amount for Travel Juneau in FY23 was $1,022,200.
$1,022,200.
Correct.
So Ms. Hughes Scandies was talking about a 10% increase in the CBJ contribution. And I believe Ms. Hale was talking about the overall budget.
Right, exactly. I just wondered.
0.7%, not 7%, 0.7, like less than 1% in the overall budget.
So,
right, and I just, the part that matters to us is the CBJ contribution. So I was trying to find out what we gave last year versus what we are proposed to give this year, the 1.3. So thank you, I got it.
Chair Treem, I should interject one little clarification here. And it's the reason that Ms. Perry's numbers are different than those. On page 48, on that line, comparing 1.3 to 928.9. That 928.9 was the amount that the Assembly authorized last year, this time during the budget process. 1,022,200 is that number plus the supplemental request that was authorized by the Assembly earlier this spring, in case there's any confusion about that.
Thank you, Mr. Rogers.
Can I clarify that? Or may I clarify what you just said, Mr. Rogers? So last year in this process, during the budget process, we approved a CBJ contribution of $928,900.
That's correct.
And then there was a supplemental on top of that later in the year.
Correct.
So the 1.1 million is a 10% increase from the $928,900. No. Okay. That's why I'm like, I'm lost in numbers now.
You could take as your starting point the 928,900 and add 10%. You could take 1,022,200 and add 10%. You can do it either way. Neither of those will get you to exactly 1.1 million, but that's in the ballpark.
Okay. Thank you. I think I'm tracking now.
Okay. I am going to speak in favor of the amendment. I think, the budget that we're looking at is a 30% increase over the total given last year. And it seems like the rest of the revenue sources have not increased nearly as much. And I think a 10% increase is fair. It's what we've done with a lot of other requests we've seen so far. And if a 10% increase doesn't result in an overall increase in the budget, I think that the Travel Juneau needs to look at its other revenue sources. So we have a motion, and I believe there was objection. So
the motion read, please, or the amendment to the motion, which I don't.
A motion to make an amendment, Ms. Beagle.
Thank you, Chair Treem. On the motion to move the Travel Juneau budget with an amendment to reduce the hotel bed tax allocation to $1.1 million.
It's a motion to amend the budget.
It's a motion.
But there's no amendment. This is an amendment to the budget. One motion that is also an amendment. And you objected. Okay. Ms. Beagle.
Assemblymember Hughes Scandies.
Yes.
Assemblymember Bryson.
No.
Mayor Weldon.
Yes.
Assemblymember Wall.
No.
Assemblymember Smith.
No.
Assemblymember Gladysevsky.
Yes.
Assemblymember Hale.
No.
Chair Treem.
Yes.
Motion fails, 4 ayes, 4 nays.
Does anybody else want to make a motion? I mean, we need to
I'll make a motion.
do something with this.
I move the Travel Juneau budget with the amount coming from the hotel bed tax, or the amount that we provide. I remove that we reduce that to 1.2 million rather than 1.3 million, and I ask for unanimous consent.
Any objection to that motion? Okay, I see none. Thank you, Ms. Hale. Okay. Thank you both for sticking through this whole evening. You deserve a medal. One more thing on the agenda to take action on tonight. That's our community requests. And I hope I did a good job of explaining this last week, but we'll see. So Ms. Spiegel provided the same handout that was in last week's packet, just to put it back in front of us. There's also been emails that have come in. And so I mean, you know, anything is fair game here as to making motions. And ideally tonight, we're just gonna, because it's so late, we can just make motions to move to the pending list, and then we'll get information and can have further discussion on these requests.
Madam Chair,
Ms. Gladaszewski,
what page of the packet is the list? Because I only see a tiny list.
Yeah, it was not in the packet, but I think Ms. Spiegel emailed it before the meeting.
Ah, that's why I had. Okay, I don't.
Okay, but I'll take it. I'll take a picture. I'll send it to you guys.
Okay, that'd be great.
Chair Tram, I'll also pull it up on the screen.
Oh, okay. Ms. Spiegel is going to put it on the screen. That'll be even easier.
If it's, yeah. Would you take a picture and send it, and then I can blow it up in case the screen is tiny?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Dream, for those folks who are using their budget books, it is also on page 30 of last week's packet.
Sorry, one second while I. Okay, Mr. Smith.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have the ones that come to mind, and sorry if you mentioned it when you said we received emails. I know we had received a request for Housing First Phase 3, and then I want to say a request for some snow, whatever, like ski track, whatever. Anyway, the Juneau Nordic Ski Club.
Yeah.
Do we? What is the thought on those?
It's the same pool of community requests. We just we didn't have them in time to put them on a piece of paper. But
okay.
It's in the same.
Okay.
Realm.
Okay, so we can.
I mean, anything
we
you guys
can
want
move
to do.
them. Okay.
We can do anything.
Yeah. Okay. But the goal is to just decide. Hey, do we have 5 votes to move them to the pending list? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. Ms. Gladaszewski.
Yep. No, that's all I wanted to clarify. So if nobody raises their hand and moves the thing, it's not going to go on the list.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
But there needs to be a positive motion made. So Mayor Weldon, and then you two.
Okay, so I thought I got it, but now I'm confused. So the list that was just up on the screen, that's already the list, correct?
No, that is the list that's on the screen, and that will be back there shortly, is the list of community requests that the finance staff has graciously collected. There are others. I mean, we've received emails in the last few days for sure, and possibly before that. So this is just for us to have as reference. We will be making motions to move them to the pending list, at which point we would discuss them further and discuss the substance of the requests. So the motions we're making tonight are not going to add anything to the budget.
Have a motion.
Okay. I'm going to start with these guys who I had written down.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would move that we add the Sealaska Heritage Institute request for $500,000 to the pending list and ask unanimous consent.
Any objection? Ms. Gladaszewski? Oh, no.
No, I was going to make a motion, so that I'll take my hand down.
Okay. I have you on the list. Mayor Weldon.
Thank you. I would object to that, and I'll speak to my objection. I appreciate the work the Sealaska Heritage is doing. We've supported them already on their building and on their arts campus, but this one's a little weird because they bought the building that we have employees in, and now they want us to give them $500,000 to remodel the building that they're going to kick our employees out of. That to me is just bizarre. So I'm sorry, I can't support this.
Right, we have a motion and objection. Ms. Spiegel. Sorry, Ms. Wall.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm just going to clarify for the future that if a assembly member proposes putting something on the pending list, I will be an yes to put it on the pending list.
Ms. Spiegel.
Thank you, Chair Treem. On the motion to add the Sealaska Heritage Institute request for $500,000 to the pending list. Assemblymember Hughes Candies.
Yes.
Mayor Weldon.
No.
Assemblymember Smith.
No.
Assemblymember Wall.
Yes.
Assemblymember Gladishevsky.
No.
Assemblymember Bryson.
Yes.
Assemblymember Hale.
Yes.
Chair Treem.
No.
Motion fails, 4 ayes, 4 nays.
Okay, so I have Mr. Bryson down next, then Ms. Hale, then Ms. Gladishevsky. Mr. Bryson.
I was going to move the Alaska Committee with the amount of 436 to the pending list and ask for unanimous consent. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I misstate it? I wanted their grand total of 436. So if the 100 is already there, then the 336 to the pending list.
Mr. Smith.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just going to chime in for a comment. I appreciate, I'm on the Alaska Committee. I appreciate the work they do. Gavel is important. I do know that the Alaska Committee, I think, has a decent amount of fund balance that has been given to us, given by us for certain things. I'm going to vote to put this on. I may probably try to do some work to say, hey, can you use some of your reserves to come in for some of this? Can we do the server in 2 years? And anyway, like, can we spread this out a little bit? Because they, from what I've seen from their reserves, they do have some funds. And anyway, but I'll support to move it on the list. Thanks.
Mayor Weldon.
I'll just object for the purposes of a question. That's how you do it, Mr. Smith. I think my question's along Mr. Smith's line. If we move this to the list at the amount that Mr. Bryson said, we can adjust the amount later. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, I'll remove my objection.
Ms. Gladishevsky.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just because we've not done this exactly before, I just want to clarify the process here. This is just to put it on the list, not to vote to fund it.
Yes.
Right. So I just yeah. Okay. Thank you. Because then I don't have to speak to each thing about.
Correct.
Blah, blah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Was there objection? No. Okay. I see no objection. That one goes on the pending list. And next on my list was Ms. Hale.
I move the Juneau Commission on Aging request for $15,000 and I ask for unanimous consent.
Any objection? Okay, I see none. That one is added. Then I have Ms. Gladishevsky, then Mr. Smith, then Ms. Hughes Candies.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll move the Juneau Arts and Humanities Council $17,700. And ask for unanimous consent.
I'll object. Okay, there's objection. Ms. Spiegel.
On the motion to move the Juneau Arts and Humanities Council $17,700 to the pending list. Assemblymember Gladishevsky.
Yes.
Assemblymember Hughes Candies.
No.
Assemblymember Smith.
Yes.
Assemblymember Hale.
Yes.
Mayor Walden,
No.
Assemblymember Bryson,
No.
Assemblymember Wall,
Yes.
Chair Dream.
No.
Motion fails, 4 ayes, 4 nays.
Okay, I'm sorry, guys, I'm getting a little lost. So I think I had Mr. Smith, then Miss Euskandis, then Mayor Weldon.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move the Juneau Nordic Ski Club request of $25,000. May I speak to it briefly?
Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. I know it's a private nonprofit. However, they have, I believe the total cost of replacing equipment, 75,000. They've raised over 50 for it. These are just things that thousands of Juneau residents use. I think a slight bit of support, and we can talk fund sources. I guess that does complicate this process a little bit, but
and this is just to put on the list.
right. Yeah. And so hopefully we can, look at some funding sources, but again, they've raised 2/3 of the funds, and a third, they're just asking for our help for a third more. And again, I think we know a lot of people use those, a lot of people use the trails and things they do, and they use a lot with volunteer effort and labor. So that would be my motion, and I do ask for unanimous consent.
Mr. Smith, what was the dollar amount?
25,000.
Any objection to that motion? Okay, I see none. That will go on the list.
Can I ask a quick clarifying on something we just did? Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a quick clarification on the Jack request. Was the intent of the, I guess, maker of the motion that is an item that was funded last year, and they're asking for an increase. And so I wasn't sure if what we just did was say zero funding or not an increase.
We're talking about the request.
17,000.
The request.
Great. Thank you.
Over the amount in the proposed budget.
Thank you for that clarification.
Ms. Euskandis.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move $40,000 to the pending list for the Juneau Economic Development Council.
Any objection? Mr. Bryson.
Can I object for the purposes of amendments?
After Mr. Bryson's.
I'm just going to speak to it.
Oh, okay. Mr. Smith.
I would amend it to 70,000.
Okay. We have an amendment. Mayor Weldon.
I was going to do the same thing, but Mr. Smith beat me to it.
Okay. Is there objection to Mr. Smith's motion to amend?
I'll object. Obviously.
I'm sorry, I got distracted. Can someone repeat what line we're on?
So this is the JEDC request. Ms. Euskandis moved to put $40,000 on the pending list. And Mr. Smith moved to amend that to 70,000, which is the full amount of their request over the amount in our budget. So we're on the amendment to increase that to 70,000. Although, I mean, frankly, we can have this discussion if it goes on the pending list. So it's up to the committee what we do tonight. I mean, if you want to, there's a motion, there's an amendment by Mr. Smith. Is there objection to that? Okay, Ms. Spiegel.
On
Mayor Walden's raising.
Sorry. Okay. I feel like a lifeguard. I have to constantly scan the room. Mayor Weldon.
Welcome to our world. And I didn't quite understand what was going on. Sorry, I got a little lost there too. So I'll object to that. I like the $40,000 better.
Okay. It's a learning process. Ms. Spiegel.
On the amendment to Assemblymember Hughes Scandy's motion to move $40,000 to the pending list for the Juneau Economic Development Council, but instead move $75,000.
70.
I'm sorry, $70,000. Assemblymember Smith.
Yes.
Assemblymember Bryson.
No.
Mayor Weldon.
No.
Assemblymember Hale.
Yes.
Assemblymember Hughes Candies.
No.
Assemblymember Gladysevsky.
Yes.
Assemblymember Wall.
Yes.
Chair Trim.
Yes.
Motion passes 5 ayes, 3 nays.
Okay, we're back to the original motion as amended. Mr. Bryson, you had objected. Do you maintain that objection? Okay, Ms. Spiegel.
On the motion as amended to move $70,000 for the Juneau Economic Development Council to the pending list. Assemblymember Hughes Candies.
Yeah.
Assemblymember Bryson.
No.
Assemblymember Wall.
Yes.
Assemblymember Hale.
Yes.
Mayor Weldon.
No.
Assemblymember Smith.
Yes.
Assemblymember Gladysevsky.
Yes.
Chair Trim.
Yes.
Motion passes 6 ayes, 2 nays.
Mayor Weldon, you were next on my list.
Sorry, I'm hitting the wrong buttons. It's quite late where I am. I would move the United Human Services of Southeast Alaska for the elevator at the Diamond Park Fieldhouse, and if I may speak to it, that's our building and it's not ADA compliant. I'm hoping we can get that $1 million down to something a little more reasonable, but it seems to me if we know there's a problem with the building, we should take care of it to meet ADA standards.
Thank you, Mayor Weldon. Is Mr. Smith?
I'm just going to object for a statement to say that I hope we can maybe just get that programmed into the CIP or something, and we're not having to. So I'm not going to object to it for now, but I may later. I remove my objection.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Ms. Gladysevsky.
I object. I'm a similar objection to Mr. If it's our building, it should be in our. We should do something about it. It seems an odd place to have this discussion. So I'll happy to put it on the pending list so we could, I guess, have that discussion. Why is it on the pending list?
Okay. Mr. Bryson, did I see your hand?
Yeah. What she said was fine.
Okay. Is there objection to that? No. Okay. No objection to that one. That one will go on the list and we might discuss it in other places as well. Okay, that's all I have on my list. Ms. Hale. And
I move the request from Alaska Heat Smart to 235,094. I move that we move that to the pending list. And if I may comment on that briefly, we're kind of, maybe we're all tired, but there's a lot of noodling with these numbers and we're not discussing these thoroughly right now. And I don't have the supporting documentation for these in front of me. I'm sure it's somewhere, but I don't have that in front of me. So I would plead with my fellow assembly members that we can have that more robust discussion when we actually talk about the pending list. And I ask for unanimous consent.
Ms. Hale moved Alaska Heat Smart.
I'll object.
Okay. Mayor Weldon, and then.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll object for just purposes of a question. I'm surprised that the request is so big over. So did we not fund them last year?
We did, but we indicated that it would be one-time funding.
Okay, that's my confusion. Okay, I'll remove my objection and like Ms. Hill, we can talk about it.
To clarify, the list that we're looking at does not have last year's amount, but it does have the FY24 proposed budget column. That's what's already baked into the manager's proposed budget. Ms. Hughes Candies.
Oh, thanks. I feel like because this is operations, I mean, I went back, I did some research, but I'll I won't talk so we can get out of here quicker. But if it gets on there, obviously I'm not going to cry, but I feel like I've sufficiently decided in my interest of frugality. I'm going to vote no.
Okay, we have a motion and objection. Ms. Spiegel.
Thank you, Chair Dream. On the motion to move the request from Alaska Heat Smart for $235,094 to the pending list. Assemblymember Hale.
Yes.
Assemblymember Hughes Candies.
No.
Assemblymember Bryson.
Yes.
Mayor Weldon.
Yes.
Assemblymember Smith.
Yes.
Assemblymember Hughes. I'm sorry, Assemblymember Gladishevsky.
Oh, did I have the button right? Yes.
Assemblymember Wall.
Yes.
Chair Dream.
No.
Motion passes 6 ayes, 2 nays.
Okay, did I see other hands? Mr. Smith. Oh, sorry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move with some trepidation, but I'm moving it nonetheless, just because I think, anyway, I move the Juneau Housing First Collaborative Phase 3. The request is, I'm just going to say it's $1.4 million. And may I speak to this? If you give me a second. Obviously, housing is a big issue. Housing for some of our most, vulnerable residents is a tremendous issue. I want to move this forward just to keep it on the burner. I don't know if the timing is right, but I would prefer not to shut it down now while I do some work to figure out more. And again, some trepidation there, but I'd like to move it forward and see if the timing is right, but I don't want to stop it right now. So that's why I'm moving this now.
Mr. Bryson and then Ms. Hughes Candies.
I needed to declare a potential conflict. I serve on the Glory Hall board. Although it is not a compensated position, I don't believe that I have a conflict, or I don't recall what the previous ruling was when I had to advocate. I'm good. Okay. So I would support this. We've seen with the Housing First Phase 1 and Phase 2 that the consequence was reduced emergency services. First and foremost, it really reduced the amount of community contact or first responder contact with the residents there, and we saved more money by providing long-term housing. So I would support this and ask the Assembly to put this on the pending list, please.
Ms. Hughes Candies.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm going to object, and I'm going to reserve the right to, I think, the Housing First project. I call them Housing First, Housing Second, Housing Third, which is not a good way to describe the phases. Housing all the time. I'm really supportive of it. I'm going to meet with, I already am in communications following that email. And I'm not saying that, I just don't think it'll stop up the process. I'm going to say no now. And if I get a lot of information that compels me that we should do it this budget cycle within this budget, then we can make a motion at a later, but we didn't even get it in on time to get it on this piece of paper. So I think rather than, we're doing our famous like, oh, that thing. I think let's stick with what we have. And I'm sure we will all meet with those folks individually. And then if it feels like this needs to be addressed urgently, then we can bring it back. But I'm going to say no until I'm convinced of that.
Thank you, Mrs. Candies. Ms. Hale.
I do have, I do want to speak in support of this, but I also want to perhaps clarify if this gets voted down now to go on the pending list, then we can't bring it back up again. In this budget cycle.
No, it can come back to us. Mr. Watt.
I was just wanted to respond that I don't think the public really knew there was a deadline to submit requests.
I didn't hear that.
Right. I don't think the public was aware there was a deadline to submit requests. So
There wasn't a deadline to submit requests. It's just that, we had a packet to make by Friday.
and
that's what's on our piece of paper. We are entertaining requests that came just days ago.
I think the public is unaware of what you're thinking. And I think you broadly should construe the idea that you've wanted to consider community asks in the budget process. And so to the extent that you can consider those with information, I think it'll help you.
If I may.
My objection.
Ms. Gladchevsky?
You cut me off, but.
Ms. Gladchevsky.
Okay, I was going to say something similar to the manager said. We've been making this up, and we're trying to get things in the budget process. So I'd like this to be in the budget process, so we're not just separately. I don't know if I support it, but I want it to be on the list because it's housing and homelessness and very vital things for our community. So I'd like to be on the list. Thanks.
Mayor Walden.
Thank you. I would support it being on the list too, but we need to decide tonight if I was under the impression if we voted it no tonight, it's gone from our list forevermore. We need to decide that because otherwise everything should just go on our list. But why are we voting? So I don't know if you were just tired and you made a statement that said, oh no, it's not dead. But if it stays on this list and we don't do anything with it tonight, then it stays on this list. But if we voted no, it should come off the list and be away from this budget cycle.
If we vote no, we are not killing housing first phase 3, is what I intended to say. But I think there's no longer objection to this motion. So is this Mayor Walden, is your hand up because you're objecting? Okay, there's a motion. Is anybody objecting to the motion? Okay, I see no objection. That motion has passed. Oh, okay. Yes, sorry. I didn't know you were. No,
I'm not. I'm just asking if it's my turn. I think it is, maybe.
Sorry,
I'm going to move the Downtown Business Association's request to make a motion to move to the pending list. And I just want to, I think I'm right when I say this, and maybe our staff can correct me if I'm wrong, but the request in front of you for $165,000 is the same amount that was provided to DBA last year. And the reason it looks the way it does is because that was one-time funding. And I think this is most of DBA's budget. And if we don't talk about it, then we are just deciding to end them as an organization. So I think we need to talk about it.
Ms. Gladchevsky.
I don't have anything. I don't object to that. My hand was raised to talk later.
I will object because I think we had the conversation last year and made a decision last year, and I would like to stick with that decision. So, Ms. Beagle.
Thank you, Chair Train. On the motion to move Downtown Business Association's request for $75,000 to the pending list, Assemblymember Wall.
Yes.
Assemblymember Bryson.
No.
Assemblymember Hale.
Yes.
Mayor Weldon.
No.
Assemblymember Hughes Candies.
No.
Assemblymember Smith.
Yes.
Assemblymember Gladchevsky.
Oh, gee. Yes.
Chair Train.
No.
Motion fails, 4 ayes, 4 nays.
Okay. Anybody else? Ms. Glaszewski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to clarify because of something the mayor just said about the difference between funding housing first at some other time or funding anything at some other time, and what the no votes meant today. I think I understand. I agree with, or my understanding was what the mayor said, which is if we voted no, we're not going to talk about it again during this budget. I think that's okay. That's all.
And
I just wanted.
I misspoke, and
okay.
Your understanding is correct.
Okay, great. And I agree. We could fund it later or some other time. But anyway, okay. Thank you.
Ms. Hale.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. I'm sorry, I got a little crunchy there. I just, and I think the reason I was getting a little crunchy, and I think this has been said, we've been really emphasizing to our community to bring things to us in the budget cycle. And I'm assuming that's why this Housing First request came in when it did, because we've actually gotten upset at some requests that came at us. And that's a pretty substantial request as well. So I know we're working out the kinks of this process and it'll go easier next year, but I do think we make a mistake to just say, oh, well, we can just fund this later, when we've done a great job, I think, of getting ourselves and our community disciplined to try to work within the budget cycle. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hale. Ms. Wall and then Mr. Bryson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I appreciate trying a new process. And I do, although I don't want to rehash all of the votes we just made, and I feel like I understood people's intent. I do think it's possible we made some choices that are going to create a lot of anger. And if we hear that, I personally am okay revisiting those conversations, even if tonight we decided that we are going to move forward with these votes. I think we just decided to, not fund an organization that won't exist anymore without getting a chance to hear from them, as an example.
Thank you, Ms. Wall.
I'm wrong.
Thank you, Ms. Wall. Mr. Bryson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think Ms. Hale raised an excellent point, because that has been the advice that I have given to organizations throughout the years. They ask me, how do we do this? How do we do that? And the answer is, make sure you do it during the budget cycle. We've all sat here and tried to figure out how to do things outside of it. So I do appreciate the community's response and trying to get it into us, and we'll get better as we keep practicing this style. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Bryson. And so for the next couple weeks, my intention is not to have this be an agenda. Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Hill.
To that end, I would actually request immediate reconsideration, if I may, on the 3 no votes one by one, because we didn't really clarify our process fully when we started voting, and then we figured it out through the process. And I don't know that we fully understood as a body what we were doing when we did those. So I don't know if that's appropriate parliamentary procedure.
I'm gonna look at my expert. Let's take a recess because I don't.
Sorry about that.
No, thank you. Consideration.
I would like to reconsider the 3 no votes because we will have the ability to dig into these much further when we actually do the votes.
It needs 6 votes.
Yeah, you need to have 6 votes.
Oh, perfect. Okay, great.
Okay.
And if you need parliamentary advice, Ms. Lane is listening.
You need 6 votes for immediate reconsideration.
So we just do a vote on the motion to reconsider. Okay. Ms. Spiegel.
Thank you, Chair Treem. On the motion to reconsider the 3 no votes. Assemblymember Hale.
Yes.
Assemblymember Wall.
Yes.
Assemblymember Bryson.
No.
Mayor Walden,
No.
Assemblymember Hughes Candies,
Yes.
Assemblymember Smith,
Yes.
Assemblymember Gladysevsky,
No.
Chair Trim.
No.
Motion fails, 4 ayes, 4 nays.
Ms. Gladysevsky.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just wanted to clarify about the pending list. Throughout the process, throughout our budget, people bring us things. So if someone else brings us a thing, we could put it on the pending list. We could vote to put it, we could still vote to put it on the pending list. Is that correct? We just said no to a few things that people raised their hand for. So it's still open. Okay, I just wanted to make sure I.
Correct.
Thank you very
And
much.
there's also still the assembly meeting where we pass the budget, where it can be amended. in that
Right,
meeting.
thank you.
Chair Treem. Just a clarification for staff. We think that the only request that the assembly has received together that you've not addressed tonight is the request from the rock dump. Should we take from tonight's meeting that staff should do nothing with that request for now? And not respond? Okay.
Okay, anything else to come before the finance committee? We are adjourned.
Well, okay, that's okay. I was gonna move the rock dump because that's okay, never mind.
And if you want to.
Well,
we could do it later. You could do
Okay.
it. You can do it later.
I feel like, yeah.
that's fine. That's fine. Thank you.